What is up, human debris and Galahorn peacekeepers? I am just a simple new type, and we have finally made it to the post-disaster universe. In this episode, we are beginning our coverage of Iron-Blooded Orphans. 300 years ago, the Calamity War tore the Earth sphere apart. It was the Seven Stars who brought order back. Now this military group goes by Galahorn, and they are starting to lose control on Mars due to a PMC and some slave children. In this episode, we will meet Orga and Mikazuki, who start a revolution against the powers that be with the help of their Calamity War-era mobile suit. Raise your flags, and let's get into this. Post-disaster, 3:15. Mikazuki shoots someone with Orga watching. We cut 8 years into the future to post-disaster, 3:23. The two boys, now teenagers, are being summoned by Maruba, president of Crise Guard Security, or CGS. This is a PMC. Mikazuki looks up at a mobile suit. They are currently in the Crise Autonomous Region. The kids are assigned to watch over Cudelia Bernstein as she heads to Earth. Orga and Biscuit, along with the other children, are a part of the third team. While some of the kids are placing landmines, Eugene, Mikazuki, and Akihito have a mock battle using a mobile worker. The TK-53 CGS mobile worker, also known as the Tekkadan mobile worker, runs on hydrogen engines unlike mobile suits' Ahab reactors. Weapons include two 30mm machine guns, a smoke discharger, and two missile pods. Weapons are replaced with a flatbed when not in combat. These units use the Alea Vignana system. The third team is excited for this mission, but Orga reminds everyone that Maruba thinks of them as expendable. Cudelia is heading to Earth to act as a mediator. She chose the third team to help her so she could share in their pain. Meanwhile, her dad, Norman, is being chastised by Cudelia for her actions. She seems to be popular with the disenfranchised on Mars. Norman is a cowardly man and throws his daughter under the bus. Coral is the commander of the Galahorn Martian branch. He sends out Orlis, Crank, and Ein. Out in space near the Mars sphere is McGillis and Galio in a Bisco class. The Bisco class is a light cruiser operated by Galahorn. It is designed for space navigation and is used by civilians along with the military. The rear of the ship is a container, and mobile suits can be carried on board. This has no weapons. Galio and McGinnis are a part of Galahorn's auditing team to ensure Mars maintains order. These two look like their nights out involve a lot of cocaine. We see that on the back of these children, they have protrusions in their spine. This is a man-machine interface called the Alea Vignana system. It is a painful implant that is added to the spine. This allows mobile suits to offload some of the cognitive load. It gives the pilot another lobe that allows for greater spatial awareness. We will learn more about this as we go along. As painful as it is, it seems better than not having work. In Crise City, the people are demanding independence from the Earth sphere. A girl named Atra makes a bracelet for Mikazuki, who I am just going to call Mika from now on. Cudelia meets with the third team. She wants Mika to show her around while they brief Orga. She also wants Mika to shake her hand, but he sees that she is just virtue signaling. Cudelia's journey is about going from keyboard warrior to real leader. Meanwhile, Biscuit thinks that this may all be a trap. Snipers take out some of the children guarding on the outside, but the PMC sets off flares. They were spotted quickly. The Galahorn team moves in. Mobile workers begin fighting each other. Biscuit says they are picking up Ahab waves. Ahab waves are able to disrupt radio waves, communications, and guided weapons. They find out it is Galahorn. Danji wants to go fight. Don't do it, Danji. Biscuit preps their mobile suit. Orga commands the mobile workers on the battlefield, while the president and everyone else flees. They are letting the children handle their dirty work. But Biscuit triggers the first team's flares, giving away their signal. Now they are forced into helping. Crank, Ein, and Orlis join the battle in their Greys. The EB-06 Greys is Galahorn's state-of-the-art mobile suit, and the successor to the Girel, and its lineage can be traced back to the Calamity Wars. This is a general-purpose mobile suit and can adapt to various loadouts and environments. The Greys' frame is lighter than a Gundam frame. It has a booster unit for high-speed movements, a glider for atmospheric battles, and a head sphere sensor. Weapons include a 120mm rifle which can be reconfigured into a short rifle, a battle axe, a shield, a bazooka, and a battle blade. He tells Mika to head back to the base. Meanwhile, Danji gets punted like a football. Bye, Danji. As Orlis goes into attack, out of the Mars rubble comes Gundam Barbatos. The ASWG-08 Gundam Barbatos is one of the 72 Gundam frames made during the Calamity Wars. When found by the third team, it was missing the cockpit, so they added the mobile worker cockpit with the Alea Vignana system. This Gundam also uses hydrogen fuel. This has two Ahab reactors, which gives this unit versatility. It will also get upgraded to different forms as time goes by. But we start with the first form, which is the original state that it was founded by CGS. It has 2 arms in the backpack. Its iconic weapon is the mace, shielded with nanolaminate armor. Other weapons include a long sword, a gauntlet, and a winch mace. More weapons will be added depending on the form. Mika rushes in and impales the Greys. This is a one-hit kill, instantly taking out Orlus. Before launching, the mechanic working on Barbatos is Nadi. He mentions this is powering the facility and how the Alaya Vinyana system can only be used on growing children. This is a barbaric process, but it does allow someone like Mika, with no education and no training, to function a machine like this. No new type powers necessary here. They all take it in strides, but Cudelia thinks it is horrific. He plugs in. The first boot up process is a little rough. Also, why does the English dub say Barbatos weird?
Barbatos.
Sunrise localization sucks. It's named after Barbatos, the god of freedom, just like how pirates use it. But some of you are still gonna say it weird because some idiot over at Sunrise US failed at their job. Back in the present, Ein and Crank are stunned that they just killed Orlus. They rush in. Barbatos attacks Ein. As Crank comes in, Mika is running out of gas. Crank takes this opportunity to retreat with Ein. The Gundam is straining Mika's body. Coral is mad that his plan failed. They wanted to take out Cudelia so they could sow hate and get a war going. They are also trying to get funding from a mysterious man named Nobilis. Crank tells them they are fighting against children, but Coral tells him to man up and kill those kids. One cries for Danji, saying that he always wanted to die between huge titties. It wasn't supposed to be like this. 42 children died from the third group from this incident. Muraba bailed, and the first group are trying to plan their next move. Also, Biscuit's sisters are named Cookie and Cracker. Meanwhile, Haeta from the first team beats up Orga for saving them, I guess. He is trying to keep the kids in line, as no one will ever care about their needs. The kids want a revolution, but Orga says it's up to Mika. He goes, "Hey man, revolution?" Mika goes, "Yeah, sure." He hands him a gun. Meanwhile, McGillis and Galio meet with Coral.
Coral!
Cudelia wants to help with the cooking, but she was raised privileged, so she is more in the way. We get this slice of life moment for a minute, but Mika tells the girls, "Hey, BRB, I need to go start a revolution." The first team all wake up with their hands tied behind their backs. They were sedated by the soup. Orga calls them cowards who must pay for killing their brothers. Mika kills Haeta and another who tries to fight back. The third team is in charge now. The accountant wants to leave, but Biscuit says, "Actually, we need you. You're the one person that can't leave." Sucks to be that guy. Toto, one of the first team members, is going to help them. Everyone's like, "Yo, man, you got a Hitler mustache. You're totally gonna betray us." The accountant says that they have about 3 months until they run out of money. They need a client or they're going to go under. But Toto says that they have to take out Galahorn if they want clients. That is when one Galahorn mobile suit comes in wearing a red cloak. Before the Calamity Wars, most men settled their disputes over a duel. This is the first person that is utilizing this in 300 years. He demands Cudelia if he wins this battle. He says that if they win, their feud will end here. Cudelia says that she will just go and talk to them, but Orga doesn't know his true intentions. Because of this, they can't take the risk, but they agree to the duel. Cudelia thinks that she should get the Alaya Vinyana system, but Orga mentions that 4 out of the 10 kids who got the implants when Orga and Mika got it were paralyzed. Most doctors would say it isn't the risk, but these kids are disposable. Earlier, Atra had Nadi give Mika a good luck bracelet before the battle. The duel begins. He never wanted to see kids die on the battlefield, so he decides to kill one more kid on the battlefield. Orga says that Mika had the Alaya Vinyana surgery 3 times. Cudelia wants to fight and be as strong as Mika, but her place won't be on the battlefield. Crank disarms Barbatos. He goes in with the battle axe, but Mika goes low, picks up the mace, and impales him with the handle of the mace. The Greys goes down. Orga says that they have to change their name. He decides to call their new team Tekkadan. Crank disobeyed orders to come here and win. He can't go back as a loser, or his men will be shamed. To save face, he wants Mika to do... He wanted Mika to do that. Damn, dude, you could have given him a moment. He smells the bracelet Atra gave him. They are certain they are going to start a war with Galahorn, and now they are even more desperate for money. Cudelia says that she needs to go to Earth and will still hire them. She is sure that her sponsor, Nobilis Gordon, would be willing to sponsor them as well. It looks like Tekkadan remains in business for now. Toto is trying to find an out because of his mustache. Their plan for transporting Cudelia is to head to an orbital mass driver, then transfer to geosynchronous orbit, and then head to Earth. They're going to have to take some scenic routes, but that will be full of civilian terrorists that may be just as bad as Galahorn. Toto suggests the Orcus Company routes. Eugene says, "Yo, we really letting this guy talk still?" Orcus says that they will keep him in order. At Hakafune, they have a ship called Will of the Wisps. They will send Akihiro to go pick it up. They have to take this seriously as this is their first official mission as Tekkadan. Coral meets with McGillis and Galio, who are going through all the details of their operation and budget. He is afraid of what the two will find in their audit, and he tries to not so subtly bribe them. McGillis says, "Bitch, we are Space Doge. We are cutting the fat in here. Don't make me cut you." Coral blames Crank for all of this. They are prepping Barbatos for space, but Nadi doesn't even know if the Gundam can function in space. Meanwhile, Akihiro and his team are at Krise. He flashes back to a conversation with Orga. Orga hands him his contract, which is essentially a human pink slip. Akihiro is effectively a slave to Maruba and CGS. If you notice, he has a red stripe through his uniform, which signifies who is human debris. Handing a contract back to human debris effectively makes him a free man. They choose to stay and help Tekkadan. The team cuts a deal with Orgus, but they get 45% of the profits, which is a hefty chunk. Toto, you dick. Noblest Gordon wires money to Cudelia. This is a flashback. She thinks she is weak and wants to do well by Tekkadan. Mika asks her to come with him. McGillis and Galio are on Mars searching for Cudelia themselves. She was said to be negotiating with Arbrow. Galahorn on Earth is made up of 4 economic blocks. The Strategic Alliance Union, which is North America and South America. The African Union represents Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. The Oceania Federation is Asia, Australia, and New Zealand. What the hell happened to Sydney in this universe? And finally, Arbrow, which is Russia, Canada, and Alaska. There's a timeline where Russia finally claims Alaska. What a world. Coral also met with Cudelia's father. They believe Coral is targeting her. Mika takes Cudelia to Sakura Farms, owned by Biscuit's grandmother, Sakura Pretzel. Mika thanks Atra for the good luck charm. It's time to harvest some corn.
Corn!
If you know that reference, you are going to hell. Mika tells Cudelia that Sakura Farms sells the corn at $50 per 10 kilos. Most of this is used for biofuel. It provides minuscule amounts of money, and Biscuit helps bring in the rest. He mentions human debris and how they will never find work, even once free. Things here on Mars are rough, so he thanks Cudelia for hiring them. Atra is getting jealous. Galio almost hits Cookie and Cracker with his car. Mika doesn't hesitate to respond. He says this cookie doesn't crumble. Sakura tells her to let him go. They weren't harmed. Biscuit notes the logo. Cudelia's maid, Fumitan, also notes this, and she tells Cudelia to hide in the corn. Mika apologizes to Galio, but he tries to punch him. Mika dodges with ease. He notices the Alea Vignana system. Galio is sickened by this. McGillis apologizes to the kids and entices them with candy. He asks about the battle around here recently. Biscuit makes up a story about military training happening around here. McGillis tells Mika he would make a great soldier and makes his leave with his boyfriend. McGillis knows that CGS existed and is now under control of Tekkadan. He knows the kid is a part of it. When Mika gets back to Tekkadan, Olga shows off their new logo. He says they must protect this. Meanwhile, Toto and his mustache are planning something. Orga meets with Mr. Orcus and his team. They finalize their deal to travel under their protection. Coral is going through some self-hate when he is informed of Orcus wanting to help them steal Cudelia. He is plotting against Tekkadan already. Ein wants to avenge Lieutenant Crank. Mika gives Cudelia some Mars palms, which is a date, as he stands watch for the night. This is what Mika is eating throughout the series. High fiber. His poops are probably very healthy. Cudelia eats it and is disgusted. Orga also turned this down earlier. It seems it's Mika that only likes him. The next day, Atra wants to join Tekkadan. She even quit her job. She is welcomed with smiles, but Eugene doesn't like how laid back everyone is. Coral, desperate to cover up his mistake, informs McGillis of where Cudelia will be. McGillis thinks that having her will pacify the Martian citizens, so he is down with helping Coral in his ruse. Remember, Coral too is trying to get that funding from Nobilis. Cudelia finally departs from Mars to Earth. As they leave, they spot a ship, but it is too early. The ship sends out mobile suits. It isn't Orcus, it is Galahorn. Eugene instantly goes, "Toto, what the hell did you and your mustache do?" These grazes are purple-colored to designate a space type. This is similar to the Leos in Gundam Wing, where ground units were green and space units were purple. Coral is in the Grays Commander type. The EB-06S Grays Commander type is identical to the standard Grays, with the exception of the improved antenna for upgraded communications. It gives this unit good range, even under Ahab waves. This unit has a rear skirt on the booster pack. The Commander type also has the same loadout as the standard Grays. They want Cudelia. They open up their cargo bay, where Mika is waiting in Barbatos. This is Barbatos' second form. The second form of Barbatos is the first under Tekkadan. It uses the shoulder armor from a captured Graze, giving it the nano-laminate armor. He attacks one of the Grazes. McGillis doesn't want them killed, but Coral doesn't seem to care. Ein thinks this isn't the way Crank would handle this. Also, why did Atra join them on this journey? Orcus begins firing, but someone fires on them. It is Akihito and the human debris crew in the Will of the Wisps. It is an Isabari. The Isabari is Tekkadan's flagship under command of Orga. The bridge extends out during combat situations. This doesn't have the nano-laminate armor. The mobile suit hangar is located underneath the hull. Weapons include a main gun with anti-aircraft guns and a missile launcher. It has a wire anchor and can utilize the Alea Vignana system. The designer Ebikawa said it is 3 times wider than the Ptolemaeus. Coral rushes at Mika, but he is shot by a Graze. It is Akihito in the stolen Graze. He throws Barbatos' mace at Mika. He grabs it and impales the torso of the Graze, killing Coral. Ein rushes Akihito. While the third guy is dead before I could even finish this sentence, let me finish! Mika is met with a new mobile suit. It is Galio in the Schwalbe Graze. The EB-05S Schwalbe Graze was born during Graze's development process, with the desire to create a high-output, high-mobility variant. Its mobility is thanks to the flight unit. This was planned for mass production, but was too cost-effective. Very few of these have been produced, and it is considered a command unit on the battlefield. Galio's unit has a purple color scheme, and a lance held in the right arm. Weapons include a wire claw, a 120mm rifle with a short rifle optional config, and a battle axe. It also has a head sphere sensor. McGillis is able to locate information on the Gundam and find that it is from the Calamity Wars. He says that anytime a Gundam shows up, history books are written. He heads out in his Schwalbe Graze. McGillis rushes in and spots a weakness in the nano-laminate armor. He fires at Mika. Will of the Wisps is being attacked as they lose attitude. There is a mobile worker near an asteroid in the distance. They can swing around with the help of the mobile worker. Orga wants to go out, but Eugene tells him he has to be a captain. He will head out. Orcus thinks they're using the asteroid as cover. Will of the Wisp fires their anchor, allowing Eugene to approach the asteroid in the mobile worker space type. The TK-53S CGS mobile worker space type is a space variant of the mobile worker. This has propellant tanks and vernier thrusters instead of wheels. Weapons include a 30mm machine gun, an 8-tube missile pod, and a bomb container. It uses the Alea Vignana system. Eugene fires on the asteroid. He dumps propellant and fires it, causing an explosion. This moves the meteor, causing a short spin in the asteroid, catching the Orcus team off guard. The 2 Schwalbe Grazes try to capture Barbatos. He recognizes the voice as the kid they met on Mars. Since McGillis gave the kids chocolates, Mika goes, "Oh hey, it's Chocolate Man." He throws his mace at Galio, roughing him up. That mace is quite an effective weapon. Will of the Wisp passes by and Barbatos grabs on. Tekkadan makes their escape. "We will meet once again, Chocolate Man!" Also, Ein is crying. I bet he's still hung up on Crank. McGillis receives a spot coffin. It happens to be Toto telling Galahorn to deal with this traitor. McGillis decides to not chase them after they have a lot to deal with after the death of Coral. Nadi is mad that there are no real records on Barbatos. At the same time, both Nadi and McGillis discuss the Calamity Wars from the past. Barbatos is one of 72 machines that are called a Gundam. There are 2 Ahab reactors on these units. The Alea Vignana system seems to operate one of them, now that they don't have Orcus. They need another guide. Perhaps they could rely on Teiwaz. They are a conglomerate around the Jupiter sphere that functions like a gang. Fumitan explains Ariadna to the crew. Since Ahab waves mess with communication, there is a network of individuals that bounce messages off of one another in what they refer to as a cocoon. This seems to be similar to how the onion router works, so you weirdos can do your dark web shenanigans. In this case, it can triangulate the path of a ship. Since there is end-to-end encryption, Galahorn won't be able to just intercept it. Because of this explanation, Orga makes Fumitan the communications officer. She's the sailor of the group. While helping with lunches, Cudelia explains what is happening on Earth to Mika. He isn't that educated. We learn that during the Calamity Wars, the 4 blocks of Earth tried to lay claim to Mars and Jupiter. The Crise Autonomous Region is under control of Arbrow. She wants to negotiate freedom with the people of Arbrow. Mika says, "Oh, so you're the one that's gonna make me happy?" Mika knows the exact words to take the wind out of Cudelia. She also learns that he doesn't know how to read. Most of his piloting is intuitive. Also, most kids with Tekkadan don't know how to read as well. They are focusing on trying to survive. She wants to help them learn to read, but now she must teach all of them. Nobliss is informed of Coral's death and that the kids are quite amazing for protecting Cudelia. Ein is being questioned by McGillis about Coral and the Gundam. He mentions that he was shaken up by his tactics. McGillis noted that he didn't have any AI-generated moves in Galahorn's database, and Mika's movements are unique. It is in fact the Alea system. Ein wants to join McGillis's ranks. If you're wondering what language Cudelia is teaching, it is God's chosen language, English. They can't contact Teiwaz, so they decide to head to their headquarters. Cudelia is starting to understand just how rough these kids have had it. They get a red alert. An unknown ship approaches. It is Mariba, and he wants his ship back. Mariba demands that they give back the Will of the Wisps, but they cut off the laser comms. A man pushes him out of the way. He introduces himself as Naze Turbine. Does the dub directly change his name to Wind Turbine, or are they hipsters who keep it Naze?
The name's Naze Turbine.
They are the transport division under Teiwaz. It seems Mariba has been working under them, and they want their ship back. Even though CGS doesn't exist anymore, Mika simply says he wants all his friends to stay together, which wouldn't happen if they give in to his demands. That is all Orga needed to hear to decline Naze's offer. Biscuit interrupts. The Turbine team says, "Biscuit, you sound delicious." He suggests that they allow them to use the space highways to finish their job for Cudelia. But Naze says, "Don't come at me with your logic. This is about Praido." The Turbines and their Hammerhead prep for launch. The TIR 0009 Hammerhead is the Turbine's mothership. It has wide front armor that gives the appearance of a hammerhead shark. It also has a nursery for the harem. Nice. Weapons include 2 anti-aircraft guns, 12 missile launchers, and 5 main guns. Biscuit wished Orga tried to negotiate more. Orga must show a strong front on their first mission. Atra, quick, save the soup! Shino, Mika, and Akihiro will launch. Orga wants Eugene to act as captain of the Will of the Wisps. As he launches in the Hyakurin, the STH-05 Hyakurin is a general-purpose mobile suit used by Teiwaz and the Turbines. This is built off of the schematics from the Calamity War that became the Teiwaz frame. Because Galahorn has a monopoly on Ahab reactors, they have to steal and use older reactors. It is the first non-Galahorn frame created in some time. This still hasn't reached mass production, and there are only 44 units. These units are made with cheap materials than what are called the single numbers, which are the first 9 machines. This finds a perfect balance between long and short range. Under gravity, its armor is removed. Hyakurins usually operate in pairs and sometimes with the Hyakuri. Weapons include a 100mm rifle cannon, a single-edge blade, a knuckle guard, a 4-barrel rocket launcher, and a revolving grenade launcher. Mobile suits use different frames. Besides the Gundam, Teiwaz, and Gray's frames, there are various frames which mobile suits are built off of. Amida Arca launches in a custom Hyakurin. The STH-05AC Amida's Hyakurin is one of the single-number Hyakurins. The Jupiter metal of this mobile suit has a higher purity, which creates more shock absorption, protecting the Ahab reactor. Besides the materials, this is exactly the same as other Hyakurins. Hyakurin means well-trained or well-mannered, not to be confused with Hyakuin, which is a 100 yen store, the equivalent of a Dollar Tree. Mika launches in Barbatos' third form. The third form integrates the wire claw that Tekkadan took from the battle with Galio's Schwab Greys. They send out their secret weapon, the Hyakuri. The STS Hyakuri is a turbine mobile suit used mainly for patrolling. This also uses the Teiwaz frame. Between Jupiter and Mars is an asteroid belt, so this machine is designed to scout out debris. It has excellent search capabilities, and has large sensors to detect Ahab waves. It has a flight form which tucks the arms in. Weapons include a 110mm rifle, a knuckle shield, a revolving grenade launcher, and a 4-barreled rocket launcher. The pilot is Laughter Franklin. She engages with Mika. The Will of the Wisps sends out a smoke flare in front of the Hammerhead. The two ships then play a game of chicken, almost crashing into one another. Naze turns around like he is in a car with a back windshield. "This is a ship. I'm pretty sure you're just looking at a door. You have monitors in front of you, bro." They turn around and chase Tekkadan when an explosion goes off in the cargo block. Orga and a small team snuck on board the ship. They hopped on when the two ships almost crashed. Naze realizes that Mariba turned them into rats by putting the Alea system in them. He thinks, oh shit, these kids have nothing to lose. Mika uses the wire claw and latches onto Laughter. Meanwhile, Akihiro's Graze is struggling to keep up with the Hyakudens. Mika is slammed into an asteroid, but he uses the mace to stop Laughter Franklin in her tracks. That is when Naze tells everyone to stop fighting, and just in time because Akihiro was about to die. We cut to a flashback to Orga's POV as he storms the Hammerhead and hacks into their systems. Mariba tells them to kill them quickly. Meanwhile, Orga and his team don't have a hard time getting to the bridge. Naze goes, I'm gonna let this play out. Orga comes onto the bridge and aims a gun at Mariba's head. Fun fact, the rolling of the tongue in Japanese is referred to as makijita and is seen as vulgar. Does that mean they find Spanish-speaking people trashy? How unfortunate. Naze tells them not to kill Mariba. After seeing what they are capable of, they are willing to work out a deal. He stops his pilots. Nadi wasn't able to get Barbatos at 100%, so he apologizes to Mika and tells him Orga went to strike a deal. Orga goes, so, only women on this ship I see. Naze says, oh, these are my bitches. They want to hire Turbine to help them transport Cudelia to Earth. They also want to be made a subsidiary of Teiwaz. Naze says he will connect them to higher-ups. He will still have to convince them. Mariba earlier referred to Cudelia as property. They want to know what he meant. Naze wonders what they know about Galahorn. They created peace during the Calamity Wars. But 300 years later, Galahorn is more of a burden as they act in their own self-interest. Her going to Earth to talk to one of the 4 blocks can shake up the governing systems of Galahorn. He says to ask the old man for more information, referring to Teiwaz boss, McMurdo Barriston. Well, I am parched. Time for some milk-flavored drink in a can. They're heading to Ceasefire with Turbine, which is a base of operations for Teiwaz. They set up laser comms with Mars to find they are almost out of funds back home. It ran out faster than they expected. Mika tells Orga that he wasn't good enough in battle and has to try harder. He and Biscuit talk to Naze about setting them up with traders that can handle Galahorn parts. He realizes they are struggling, so why reject his offer to begin with? It was because they can't break apart this team. Naze says, hey man, I'm all about harems, so that sounds a little Galio to me. Orga says it is because they are connected by the spilt blood of their dead comrades. Naze wonders if Orga is ready for the burden of responsibility that comes with being a leader. He is willing to die for Tekkadan, but Naze says that's dumb and your organization would fall apart. He says they don't sound like comrades. They sound like family. And Naze knows family. Cut to the bitches and the babies. Akihiro and Laughter have a simulated battle. Akihiro loses. There is no Alea Vignana system in the Hyakudens. Mika takes a crack at it. He tells Orga he doesn't want to get left behind, but he reminds him that that can't happen because they are family. They make it to Ceasefire and meet with McMurdo Barriston. Teiwaz is going to buy the parts for a good chunk of change, mainly because Tekkadan has a salvageable Ahab reactor. They decide to celebrate. Cudelia is trying to deregulate half metal on Mars. We will learn that this plays a role in Ahab reactors. Her trying to talk to Arbrow points to war on the horizon for McMurdo. He suggests that they hire Teiwaz as muscle when the bloodshed breaks out. She doesn't know what to do, and Mika tells her that this is a decision she has to make for herself. Whatever choice she makes, blood will be spilt. The kids all get treats while the boys get drunk. Dude, you need to go slow or something. That will happen. They begin the ceremony. In order to join Teiwaz, Turbine has to adopt Tekkadan as a big brother, which may piss off the other clans. Afterwards, Cudelia tells McMurdo that she will accept his offer. Mika and a few others are staying behind while Tekkadan and Turbine head out. They will head out after Barbatos makes some repairs. Takaki and Biscuit get a message from their sisters. Cudelia gets a message from her mother urging her to come home. She apologizes to Fumitan for getting her involved. Naze wants a liaison on board Tekkadan's ship. This woman is Maribit Stapleton. Orga had a brief run-in with her while throwing up. She's going to teach them a thing or two about business. Eugene says to the kids, stop gawking at this woman. It's my turn to gawk. Orga and Maribit have an awkward elevator ride. Meanwhile, Atra tells Cudelia of her past. She used to work as a maid in a whorehouse and eventually ran away. One day she ran into Mika, who helped her get a job at a shop. Ever since then, she's been making deliveries for CGS. After the simulation training, Akihiro goes out on patrol in the Graze Custom. The EB06 TC Graze Custom is Akihiro's Graze, which was originally made of 2 different Grazes. Now with added Tekkadan parts after the head and shoulders were destroyed by the Hyakudens. An extra booster is added. This is painted white and doesn't have the nano-laminate armor. It has the same loadout as the Graze. Takaki joins in the mobile worker. Looks like a man walking his little dog. He confesses to Takaki that he used to have a younger brother. Pirates took their ship and they were sold as human debris. He never seen his brother again. Their sensors pick up Ahab reactors. A squad of man roadies rushed the two. The UGY R-41 man roadie is a mid to short range mobile suit used by the pirates known as the Brewers. This is built off of the roadie frame, which were mass produced during the Calamity Wars. This unit is a well-rounded machine and very versatile. It is considered a heavy mobile suit and can be used as a tank to defend the mothership. Weapons include Vulcan guns, the Hammer Chopper, which is a short-range weapon, a 90mm submachine gun, and hand grenades. This has the Alea Vignana system. Takaki is being whipped around. That is when Mika attacks one of the man roadies. Akihito is surrounded by man roadies when Orga notices another mobile suit approaching. It is Mika and Nadi in the Kutan. The GEE M103 Kutan Type 3 is produced by Euro Electronics, a subsidiary of Teiwaz. This is a transport vessel that can carry a wide variety of payloads, including mobile suits. This has a hydrogen generator instead of an Ahab reactor, which makes its defenses not the best. It also doesn't have nano-laminate armor. It is armed with a pair of Vulcan guns and can optionally carry a pair of 300mm smoothbore guns. Mika launches Barbatos from the crouton. Croutons. He tells Nadi, "Good luck piloting this transport vessel. I'm out. Peace." Nadi is like, "What the hell, man?" However, it's that cliche where they pretend like they can't pilot, and then they pilot it perfectly. "Why'd you complain, Nadi?" After Mika stabs through one of the man roadies. The two remaining units engage. Last time we mentioned that the man roadies have the Alea Vignana systems. One pilot notices Mika and Akihito's movements. They too have the Alea Vignana system as well. The pilot focuses on Akihito and is able to destroy the space mobile worker and take Takaki's ejection pod. He hears Takaki say Akihito. As the boy fights Akihito, he realizes this is his brother. While they are fighting, the turbines move in to help. "Where have you been?" Akihito gets Takaki's pod back, but it is crushed pretty badly. The man roadies retreat. They get Takaki out of the pod, but he is bleeding profusely. Maribit rushes to the hangar and handles business. She really is the only adult here. "Nadi, where you at?" Maribit says Orga not having a doctor on board is irresponsible, and he is failing at his job as a boss. Laughter and Azi notes that the Commander man roadie frame is very similar to the Gundam frame, even though it doesn't look like it. We will learn soon that this is a Gundam. Naze tells Orga and Biscuit that the pirates that attacked them were the Brewers. They target ships traveling between Mars and Earth, and they know that Tekkadan has Cudelia and demand that they hand her over. Their army is no match for Teiwaz, so why are they talking a big game? They wonder if they have a powerful supporter. Meanwhile, Galia recruits more men. One officer boards the ship and says, it smells like red trash on this ship. He's talking about Ein. It's like white trash, but red because of Mars. Get it? Yeah, you get it. Galio and McGillis meet with his father, Isnario. He wants to make his visit with his father short. They go to meet with Almeria, Galio's 9-year-old sister and McGillis's fiancé. What am I doing here, man? You know, I have real engineering skills. I said if I can't make robots, I'm gonna talk about robots. Then suddenly you find yourself talking about 9-year-old arranged marriages. I think we need to burn this all down. I'm too lazy. Let's keep going. The Brewers are feeding McGillis information on where Cudelia is heading. Their visit to Mars showed them how much corruption is happening from within, and that their reach doesn't actually reach that far. They think that they too can handle Cudelia to retain power. Meanwhile, at the Brewer's ship, Akihito's brother, Masahiro, is getting smacked around by their commander, Mr. Snake Tongue, for losing the mobile worker pod. These Brewer kids are wearing uniforms with red lines. They too are human debris. Akihito blames himself for having too much fun. Being a slave his whole life has conditioned him that everything is his fault. But the rest of Tekkadan reminds him that they are family. Tekkadan and the Turbines plan on teaching the Brewers a lesson. They wonder if someone at Saisei leaked their navigation intel. But as things grow, things get harder to keep track of. Their best option is to wait for the enemy to come to them. They plan on going through a debris field that was left from the Calamity War 300 years ago. There are functional Ahab reactors in the debris field, which ends up pulling more debris towards them. We learn that the Ahab reactors are why there are artificial gravity on the ship. They also made Cudelia look like an idiot in this moment just to teach the audience this. Don't do that. They're going to use the Hyakuri to scout ahead, and Barbatos will be equipped with a booster. Mika says he will try his best to save his brother, but I might have to kill him. I didn't mention last episode, but Atra thought about creating a harem with Mika and Cudelia. I just felt we had to bring that up. Anyways, moving on. Barbatos has the crouton booster. The human debris on the Brewer's ship are given one extra block of nutrients. One whole extra block? You think it's better or worse than a calorie, mate? Mr. Snake Tongue comes in and smacks the boys. Mika's learning some English on Duolingo while traveling through the debris field. Stupid Al, you are the antithesis of anime. Orga gives Eugene command of the ship. Manrody's go on patrol. The captain is a bat and a snake. The Brewers are just furries with better tech. The Tekkadan ship cuts through the debris field while the Hammerhead goes ramming. The Isaribi uses its wire claws and latches on to the ship. Snake Man's name is Cudelia, and he launches in Gundam Gushan. The ASW G11 Gundam Gushan is one of the Gundam frames used during the Calamity War. This Gundam has 2 Ahab reactors. It allows the unit to remain extremely mobile for how big it is. This is designed specifically for debris fields by the Brewers. This chunky boy has a short flight time. It can withstand the blast of a smoothbore gun. Weapons include the Gushan hammer, the 90mm submachine gun, Vulcan guns, 400mm Buster anchor, and 2 hand grenades. It also has the Gushan chopper, which is a close combat hatchet. Akihiro launches in the Gray Sky. Ozzy and Amida also launch in their Hyakudins. Mika detaches the booster. No more croutons for this boy. He's in his 4th form. The 4th form is upgraded by Teiwaz and the Saisei technicians. They reverse-engineered Calamity War-era parts based on the schematics, and it is more balanced. It resembles the 1st form, though it still isn't at 100%. Meanwhile, Akihiro gives Masahiro a nice big hug. That's nice. He apologizes for giving up on him. Akihiro tells him that he has family and they can join them. Really heartfelt, albeit repetitive at this point, but Masahiro isn't having it. His situation as human debris has been far worse than Akihiro's life, and he can't overcome his nihilism. However, Kudo comes in swinging his big Gushan hammer. Masahiro pushes Akihiro out of the way, and the Gushan Gundam plays whack-a-mole with Masahiro's man Rody. Shino and Dante are leading a team infiltrating the Brewers' ship. They find some kids and think, they're just kids. Shino looks away, and one of those kids takes out 2 people on his team. Good job, Shino. Murder these kids, Dante. Akihiro gets out of his mobile suit to find Masahiro barely alive. Masahiro says that he is trash, but Akihiro says that even if he dies right here, he matters, and one day he will be reborn with their family. Masahiro goes neat and dies right there. Blech. Mika is chasing Mr. Snake Man. They play a cat and mouse game until Mika goes, "Bored now, ending this," and he stabs the Gundam, killing Mr. Snake Man. McGillis and Galio attend an event held by the 7 Stars. Remember, these are the 7 families that helped bring peace and formed Galahorn, now considered the royal class of Galahorn, full of Nepo babies, or in the case of McGillis, bastards. We learn he is Isnario's illegitimate child. Galio says, "You should bang some of these age-appropriate girls before you bang my sister." Dante was able to save some of the children, including the only one that really wants revenge on him. He's like a feral cat. Orga tells the kids, "You guys want soup?" They go, "What is that, like some kind of nutrient block?" He wonders why they no longer want to kill them. Orga says, "Welcome to the family." Shino cries for the men he got killed on this mission. Never turn your back on a child. Naze and Tekkadan are able to capture Captain Brooke Kabayan. It's Batman. He kind of has some pig features too. They demand one of their ships and all of their mobile suits. Orga threatens to slaughter him like a pig. Oh, he's a pig man, not a bat. I can't keep up with fashion. They will sell all of this instead of using it, as they don't want to use weapons that killed Akihiro's brother. Meribit suggests that they have a funeral for the fallen. Orga goes, "What's that?" Meribit has to explain a funeral to the red trash. Orga doesn't get it. It seems that humans in general moved past mourning the dead. It isn't just a Mars thing. Shino wants to do it. He says anything to help Tekkadan lessen the pain. Akihiro wants this as well. Meribit can tell that Orga really isn't into it. He just thinks it's better to live than to dwell on the dead. He tells him that the funerals are for the living as well. They decide to put trinkets of their dead comrades in a pot to honor their lost friends. They fire off cannons. One of the kids can't sleep. Atra comforts him, but he wants Fumitan's comfort, as her boobs are bigger. I want a hug from Fumitan. They were able to sell the spoils from the battle with the Brewers. Naze says, "Hold on, I need to bank out with my woman to assert dominance." Oh, he's still going. Alright. So, you gonna wrap this up, or? Mika hands Cudelia a Martian palm when she realizes he is trembling. She decides to hug him, so he decides to kiss her. She drops the date and says, "Yo, if you aren't going to eat this, then I am. Focus, Mika." Meanwhile, Noblest decides that he needs to kill Cudelia. Cudelia and Fumitan talk about boys. Ew! They have finally made it to the Earth colonies. They head to Dort 2. Dort 3 is where all the wealthy elites of Earth seem to live. Behind all the colonies is Earth. Everyone gazes at the planet for the first time. They have to make deliveries to Dort 2 for Teiwaz. While they are handling shipment, Fumitan, Atra, and Cudelia will head to Dort 3 for some shopping. Mika and Biscuit will join them for protection. The Turbines have the Gushan in their possession. They take off that frog head to reveal a Gundam head underneath. Akihito really wants to pilot it. The Turbines have a base of operations at Dort 6, which is where they're heading during all of this. Naze reminds Tekkadan that Galahorn in the Earth's sphere are more competent than the ones on Mars. Unlike the lawlessness of Mars, this place has law and order, so they will have to behave themselves. A ship approaches the Isaribi. Dort 2 seems to be expecting them. The workers of Dort 2 were expecting Cudelia, as she is seen as a hero in some areas, and Tekkadan, her knights. The guys go, "What's a knight?" At Dort 3, the girls tell Biscuit and Mika, "Yo, you guys stink." Atra says she can't be around Nutty. Damn, Atra just threw the only black guy under the bus. Mechanics probably do stink though. Biscuit tells Mika that he used to live in the slums of the Dort colonies. He says that he also has a brother that lives here, which is his motivations for coming back, even though he is very hesitant. Atra tells him to imagine if Akihito could see his brother earlier, and that is all the motivation he needed. Back on Dort 2, the workers are underpaid, and the bottom line is the goal around the Earth sphere. Because of this, sick pay isn't paid, leave is minimal, and people are overworked. They look at Cudelia as hope for change around the Earth sphere. Perhaps what is happening on Mars can happen here. They are a symbol of hope. Orga wonders how they heard of them. He simply says their sponsor. Biscuit calls his brother Savarin, which is a sweet cake. I was hoping his name would be Bagel. Biscuit and Bagel teaming up. They agree to meet. Savarin is looking at Tekkadan data when he tells him that he works for them, and the mood changes. At Dort 2, Orga realizes that they were delivering mobile workers to these very rebellious people. They all look at Maribit like, "What's going on, man?" Oh, and fully automatic weapons too. Orga demands to know who these workers' sponsor is. They say it's Cudelia's proxy. They were told Tekkadan will provide them with weapons. They have been set up. That is when the police come in. They try to arrest the workers, but they all say screw it, and the revolution begins. Tekkadan bails. They can't be caught in between this. Atra goes to help Biscuit, leaving Cudelia to be awkward around Mika. During this entire episode, Fumitan has been acting sketchy. She seems to not be on Cudelia's side. The workers are able to force the police to retreat. They will be back soon, however. Nobilis is informed of what is going on the colonies. He wonders why Fumitan is going off the book. Biscuit meets with his brother and notices Atra with him. He says he has to accommodate one more person, but makes a call to bring the police. The workers live in the slums of Dort 2. They will most likely live there their whole lives, and never even visit the lavish lifestyles that are seen on Dort 3. They say a man named Savarin was once one of them, but was adopted and became an executive that does mediation between the rich and the poor. Meanwhile, Savarin has Biscuit and Atra captive. Atra pretends that she is Cudelia. Meanwhile, Naze is doing, I guess, wife management? Having this many bitches is hard and needs organization. Orga is informed by one of the workers inside men that Biscuit and Atra have been captured. Orga says, "They got my cook!" He contacts Mika and informs them of the situation. Mika goes to save them alone. Galio is trying to gain entry into the colonies, but the regulatory bureau may have caused pushback. The captain tells them they might start a revolution if they enter. It isn't because they are Galahorn. It is because they are part of the 7 stars. They are on a Half-Beak class ship. The Half-Beak class ship is Galahorn's main vessel and is equipped with an Ahab reactor and nanolaminate armor. The bridge can retract into the body. It has a catapult at the bottom of the ship. Weapons include a main gun, anti-aircraft guns, and missile launchers. It also has an anchor. Savarin tries to get info out of Biscuit, but he says, "You know, Cookie and Cracker are doing pretty well." After arguing, he tells his brother that Atra isn't Cudelia, but his brother is losing all sense of rationality. A masked man approaches Fumitan and Cudelia. He tells them to get out of here as an uprising is about to take place. Nobilis is the one that is trying to kill her. He also says, "By the way, Fumitan's working against you." Okay, bye. She finally admits the truth to Cudelia and runs away. Mika crashes a truck and takes out the guards and saves Biscuit and Atra. As they flee, Savarin tries to stop him, but Biscuit says Tekkadan is his family now, and they leave. The workers go, "Alright boys, let's get this revolution started." Tekkadan heads back to the hotel to find Cudelia is nowhere to be found. Mika goes to look for Cudelia with Atra following behind. The others have to get back to the Isaribi before the rebellion starts. The workers don't want this to become a battle because they can't win against Galahorn. They just want to use enough force to bring them back to the negotiating table. Oh, that's never gonna work. We flash back to Cudelia's childhood, where she learns a lesson in distribution of wealth. Meanwhile, the Aryan Hood fleet makes their way towards the colony. I know it's a Welsh word, but it sounds pretty close to another one. Fumitan runs into some G-men who tell her to stop messing around and to handle Cudelia. Their boss isn't happy with her. Saverin can't bring forth negotiations and things are getting tense. The workers begin announcing their demands. Fumitan wonders who she is fighting for when she runs into Cudelia. She leads them towards the workers who think she is here for them. Mika spots her on the news. Atro runs to warn the others. Face touch. An explosion goes off. Galio's ship caused the explosion. This causes a riot to break out. Galahorn is using their mobile workers for riot control. The SAU, 17 SAU mobile worker is equipped with a 200mm cannon and a machine gun. So yeah, the workers never had a chance. Somehow Cudelia is the only one who survived this mob. Snipers try to take her out. As they shoot, Fumitan steps in and protects Cudelia. She gives back an old necklace from their past. Fumitan dies on top of Cudelia, and Mika finds the two. She drags her away as she is in shock over Fumitan's death. The news reporters bail as apparently this is happening on all of the Dort colonies. This has sparked a revolution. They all regroup at the hotel. McMurdo calls Nobilis saying he is short-sighted. Cudelia isn't someone that you kill to start a rebellion. She is someone that will grow with the rebellion. McMurdo wants to do business with Nobilis. More workers are being rounded up as the rebellions continue throughout the other colonies. The news tells the workers that Navona, the workers' lead, is dead. Over at Dort 4, the workers infiltrate a factory and steal some mobile suits. These are Spinner Roadies. The UGY R38 Spinner Roadie is a general-purpose mobile suit used by various organizations and is mainly used for colony maintenance and civil engineering purposes. It has a movable sensor on the forehead and can adapt to space and colony use. The command units have an antenna on the head. Weapons include a rifle, the booster hammer, and a 4-tube anchor pod on each leg that fires spike rods. They launch. The Iron-Blooded fleet launches to retaliate on the outside of the colonies. Grazes move in to attack. All the workers' mobile suits and their ship's missile pods are malfunctioning. They go down fast without their weapons working properly. Galio's team is watching from afar. This was all calculated by the Audit Bureau. They give the workers the hope they need to fight back. Then they crush them, thus eliminating all future hopes. As auditors, they are tipping their hand to see how Galahorn reacts to the conflict. Tekkadan is trapped in the colony and can't make it to the Isaribi. They watch the news as the workers are getting obliterated. Orga wants to listen to Teiwaz's orders, but Cudelia says that they can't head to Earth before helping out here. The news reporters are getting word to cut their feeds from the public and to stop reporting the truth. Tekkadan needs to find an elevator. The news crew wants to interview Cudelia. Biscuit says go with it because the journalists have their own hangar. But why? Akihito is with the Turbines. He's going to join up with Tekkadan. Dante helps deliver Barbatos. Careful, Dante. He takes in too much data. Dante and Nadi get Barbatos to join the battle. Once Mika joins, so too do Galio and Ein. Galio is in the Kamaris. He engages with Mika. The ASW G66 Gundam Kamaris is a Gundam frame from the Calamity Wars and has 2 Ahab reactors. This is a close combat mobile suit and uses the gun gear as its main weapon. This is a lance which is used for hit-and-run missions. This Gundam can turn on a dime. Other weapons include a combat knife and slash discs concealed in the shoulders. The rest of Tekkadan make it to the back of the Isaribi. Shino launches in the Ryusei Go. The EB-06 TC-2 Ryusei Go, also known as a Graze Custom 2, is a Graze with Teiwaz parts. Specifically, it has the skirt of the Hyakuren. Tekkadan salvaged the Alea Vinyana system from a man roadie. Shino painted this unit with pink nanolaminate armor because he could. It also uses armor of the Kutan booster, which it can also attach. Weapons include a 120mm rifle, which can be reconfigured into a short rifle, and a battle axe. Ryusei Go means meteor in Japan. Oh, this is gonna blow up. Ein in a Schwab Graze fights Shino. He says, "Hey man, that's Crank's old Graze. What did you do to it?" He was just getting over Crank too. You triggered him while fighting. Mika says, "Oh hey, it's Chocolate Man." "Hey Chocolate Man." Mika takes a slash disc to the face and drops his mace. Cudelia contacts Nobilis. This dude is either eating or naked every time we see him. Galio charges Mika when Akihito comes in piloting the Gushion Rebake. The ASW G11 Gundam Gushion Rebake is a modified version of Gushion after taken from the Brewers. This used modifications from the Turbine, using spare parts from Gundam Barbatos. The Leia Vinyana system is taken from a man roadie. Unlike the original, this has extra sensors, making it capable of long-range support. It has 2 modes: normal mode for close and medium-range combat, and aiming mode for long-range. Weapons include a shield, made of the Gushan's old back armor, a halberd, a 120mm long-range rifle, a smoothbore gun, a Gushan chopper, which is a hatchet, and a battle blade. Ein almost hits the Isaribi. The 7 Stars fleet are told to back off as the Oriented fleet moves in. The 3 Tekkadan mobile suits prep for a fleet battle when Cudelia broadcasts herself to the world. Tekkadan are ready to take on the Oriented fleet when Cudelia speaks to the world. She essentially calls out Galahorn. They were once peacekeepers of the world, but now sees that they are truly trying to create a police state. She says, "I dare you to shoot me down on live TV, bitch." The Audit Bureau moves in and everyone puts down their arms. Watching from afar is Montag and Toto, that Hitler-looking asshole. He mentions that they lay down arms most likely at the orders of the African Union. Tekkadan's plans were to dock around Earth orbit and rent a shuttle to head down to Earth. But now Galahorn knows they are coming, so they have to find another way. That is when they are met with Montag. Meanwhile, Ein is considering getting the Alea Vignana system. Galio says that it is subhuman. Ein thinks of himself as subhuman anyways, as he is half Martian, half Terran, and is treated as an other by both cultures. It's like how Japanese people treat Happas as others. Got him, Japan! Sometimes you suck. Montag is representing the Montag Company and wants to help Cudelia with a revolution, but proposes it in the form of business. Nobilis and McMurdo are trying to make moves and take half metal. Remember, half metal is a real thing and is used in electronics like hard disk drives. But here it is used as shielding for Ahab reactors. And in this case, it is Martian half metal, which is what Cudelia is trying to fight for. Martian rights for miners working to get these resources. It seems like the limited amount of half metal is what prevents Ahab reactors from being commonly used outside of the military. These can probably solve everyone's energy problem if they all work together. But this is Gundam, that won't ever happen, bitches. Robots go boom boom. Montag brings Tekkadan free weapons and parts, but Nadi says the wisest thing. While Orga and Biscuit are talking to Montag, Mika comes over and says, "Oh hey, it's Chocolate Man." He was able to instantly recognize that this is McGillis. He says that they are working towards a similar goal, and he's trying to snuff out the corruption within Galahorn. They have to keep this quiet, or he will call off the deal with Cudelia. Meanwhile, we meet Carta Issue and her fleet. She is a part of the Issue family, one of the 7 Stars. Her father is the head of the Issue family. Her last name and eyebrows are fitting. Girl's got issues. Her fleet is going to steal all of Galio's glory. She is commander of the Earth Orbit Outer Fleet and is a part of the Audit Bureau. Shino and Akihito continue their training in the simulator. Cudelia is not holding it together after the loss of Fumitan. Atra and Mika remind her that she stopped death with just her voice and that Orga can't even do that. Mika does a super effective hug. It looks like Tekkadan is going to take Montag's deal, even though this doesn't look like a good one. The team is getting close to Earth. Carta gets a call from Galio. His face is enough to trigger her. "How dare you look at me like that? Screen off." "Get wrecked, Galio." It wouldn't be Gundam without noble families fighting one another. This one's quick to the draw though. Eugene and Shino teases one another, but I wish they would just kiss and get it over with. I know it's Yamagi that ends up liking Shino, but all the sexual energy is between these two bros. Also, that's way too many energy blocks, Shino. You are going to get constipated. We learned through Nepo Baby Galio that Nepo Baby Carta was recently promoted to Colonel. She seems to have been hostile towards Galio his whole life. Just ignore her text, bro. Alright, bitches, give daddy a hug. Carta sets up a blockade of half-beak class ships in front of Tekkadan's flight path. They fire, but then pick up 2 Ahab reactors. It is Eugene commanding a Brewers ship that they stole, towing Orga's Isaribi behind him. This guy named Chad is not living up to his namesake. Eugene connects his Alea Vignana system to the entire ship. Always carry tissues. Orga goes wide while the Brewers ship takes on most of the attack. It then releases nano-mirror chaff. This is effectively powdered nano-laminate armor that messes with Ahab reactor's sensors. Their sensors are down and Carta has to rely on sight. She mentions that Galahorn already found this material useless in battle, and she proves it by blowing the chaff away with ease. Eugene's ship then attacks this thing. Look, if it's not the Bisco, the Half-Beak, or the Skipjack class ship, the show doesn't seem to be interested in telling us what it is. Eugene rams it and he is going to need more tissues. This was all a distraction to get Cudelia on a shuttle, but they are suddenly attacked by Ein and Galio. Shino and Mika engage while Akihito protects the shuttle. More grazes come in. At the same time, so too does Azzy and Laughter come in the Roe. The STH-05R Roe was originally intended as additional equipment set for the Hyakudins. This is a refit of the Turbine's 2 Hyakudins, including Amida's Hyakudin. This is to hide their identity, as the Hyakudins are associated with Teiwaz, and they are trying to keep a low profile on Earth. This is lighter than the Hyakudin, and thus more mobile. It has a large booster on the back while under Earth's gravity. Weapons include a short rifle, a heavy club, a 130mm assault rifle, and a revolving grenade launcher. Barbs is rocking the 5th form. The 5th form has a waist booster and adds a reactive armored chest piece. It also has new forearms. These parts were provided by Montauk. The booster is from Ein's Schwab Grays. The reactive armor is specifically to counter the Kimari's hit-and-run attacks. Orga, Biscuit, and Atra are escorting Cudelia. Shino is trapped by Ein, but he goes to help Galio, who is going off about his pride. Mika's response is,
Awesome.
If I had a nickel for every time a Japanese person went off on his pride, I'd be a rich man. Mika shoots his arm motors as a distraction and uses the Kimari's gun gear lance against himself. However, Ein pushes Galio out of the way and takes the brunt of the attack. Mika says, bored now, leaving. Ein says he didn't want Galio to lose his pride. Ugh, we need a pride counter. As Mika catches up with the shuttle, a squad of Greys Ritters appear. The EB-06R Greys Ritter is the sister to the Greys, used by Carta's Outer Earth Orbital Fleet. Carta uses the commander variant of this unit. This mobile suit maintains the old Galahorn peacekeeping tradition and is reflected in its sleeker design. Unlike the Battle Axe, this Greys has the Night Blade. It has a head spear sensor and can attach a booster unit if needed. Its only other weapon includes a 120mm rifle, which can be reconfigured into a short rifle. As Mika fights one of the Greys Ritters, Chocolate Man comes in to help in a red mobile suit. It is the Grimgurdy. Grimgurde. I assume it's German, so Grimgurda? I don't know, man. The VO8-1228 Grimgurda uses the Valkyria frame, produced at the end of the Calamity War. This fell under the radar because it was overshadowed by the Gundam frame at the time. Only 10 frames were made. One other frame will show up in this series, and the rest are MSVs. This is very light and moves well in space. It will go on to influence the Gyrail series. Weapons include the Valkyria shield, Valkyria blade, and 110mm Valkyria rifle. It also has sub-sensors in the forehead. The shuttle begins breaking through the atmosphere. Chocolate Man bails while Mika handles the rest. He needs to get onto the shuttle with others or he's gonna break up on re-entry. He uses an enemy Night Blade against the Grazer Ritters. He says, I can handle this, and he rides a Graze like a surfboard, taking the brunt of the burn-up on re-entry. No big deal. As Tekkadan unloads on Earth, they are met with an older man. Meanwhile, Galio tells the doctor, you gotta save this dumb man. But it looks like the only way that Ein can live is that if they make him a cyborg. Human cybernetics is seen as grotesque and reminds people on Earth of the Calamity War. We see this in the interaction between Tekkadan and Fishman on Earth. Alea Vignana Systems isn't a thing on Earth. Nadi has robot legs, and people look at him weird as well. Also, they don't know what fish is. In space, McGillis tells Galio to turn Ein into a robot. Specifically, he should get the Alea Vignana system. Cudelia finally meets with the old man, who is Arbrow's prime minister. They all eat fish. Mika decides to just eat his Mars palms. The Arbrow prime minister is named Tokonosuke Makanai. However, they aren't in Arbrow. They're in Oceanian Federation territory. This is because Galahorn isn't permitted inside this territory. He tells them that there are reforms actually happening in the Dort colonies, thanks to her. This will seem to only hurt the African bloc in the long run. Cudelia gets to the point and talks about deregulating half-metals on Mars. The reason he is in Oceania is because he was forced to resign due to corruption and exiled here. So there is nothing he could really do for her. They feel they came all this way for nothing, but there may be another way. Makanai wants to hire Tekkadan to take them to Arbrow as an election is coming up, but this isn't wise. The incumbent has support for Galahorn, and Makanai won't be welcomed. Cudelia says that Tekkadan's job is fulfilled, and they don't have to be burdened by her anymore. They get a call from Eugene, Dante, and Chad. They're still alive. An Oceanian colony is harboring them and the Turbines. Orga wants to go big with Tekkadan, but Biscuit has had enough and is ready to quit. He wants to keep this small and local to Mars. We learn that Eugene gave Biscuit a private message. It seems his brother committed suicide. Orga decides that they are taking on Makanai's job. Meribit tells him about Biscuit's brother. Atra gives Cudelia fish, but Mika says, "Hey man, don't overlook the Mars palm. Your poops will never be the same." Orga tells Meribit that Biscuit always went with his plans, so him not joining is off to him. That is when Makanai contacts them. Galahorn is demanding that they are handed over regardless of Oceanian territory. Carta issue and her fleet prepare for an attack. Galahorn ships approach Tekkadan's location in Oceania. They decide to take Makanai and Cudelia off the island and head to Arbrow Parliament in Edmonton. They need to get a ship, which Cudelia says she will handle. Yamagi really wants to head back to Mars, but he knows Galahorn will always be chasing him. Shino tries to cheer him up, but Yamagi is thinking about those butt cheeks. Ride Mass and Takaki plant some charges under the bridge. Cudelia asks Montag for a transport. He wants to use her, so this is perfect. Biscuit and Orga make amends, but there is still much they have to talk about after this battle is over. Like back on Mars, Biscuit operates Orga's command mobile worker. Damn, Biscuit's not just butter. This boy's got some beef. The Outer Earth Orbit Regulatory Joint Fleet moves in on aircraft carriers that look cool. Too bad there isn't any data on these bad boys. All I know is that they're called Galahorn landships. Here, enjoy the line art. This fleet is led by Corliss, brother of Orliss, the first person to get wrecked by Mika's mace. They begin their attack. Alright boys, no shirts during this battle. Mika whips out his special mace, or winch mace. This has a chainsaw. Barbie Gundam is in the 5th form ground loadout. It's the same but with the reactive chest armor removed. Mika tells Akihiro to follow his tingle. The fleet launches Gray's ground types. The EB-06J Gray's ground type is a variant of the standard Grays with large thrusters added for high mobility in Earth's atmosphere. It has an additional flight booster. The armor is lighter than the standard Grays, but can still utilize many parts of the Grays line for efficiency. Weapons include a 120mm rifle which can be reconfigured into a short rifle, a battle blade similar to the Nightblade, and a shield. As the ground Gundams move in, Carta's Grays Ritters attack from the sky. Aji and Laughter handle the ground Grazes while Tekkadan handles Carta. Carta is in the Grays Ritter commander type. The EB-06 RS Grays Ritter commander type is Carta issue's personal unit. It is more or less the same as a normal Grays Ritter, with the exception of a larger head crest, slightly different chest armor, and longer shoulder thrusters for higher output. It also has red accents. Weapons include the 120mm rifle, reconfigurable into a short rifle, the Nightblade, and a halberd. It also has additional sensors and a glider unit. Everyone pose! Hey, no fair, Akihiro. Carta is playing by JoJo rules. That doesn't work on these kids. The team rushes in on Mika and Shino. Mika says, "Hey you, guy number 6 specifically, check out my mace." He breaks their formation. Poor random guy in the back thought he had it easy that day. Carta is being outmaneuvered by Tekkadan. Some ground Grazes break through the Turbine's formation and attacks Akihiro, but he ain't having any of it. Ride Mass and Takaki spot mobile workers sneaking in from their flanks. The mobile workers attack and search for Cudelia, but there is nothing there. They self-destruct Makanai's estate, taking out some of the foot soldiers. Cudelia and Makanai are on the other side of the island with half of Tekkadan. As Orga and Biscuit make the retreat, Carta attacks the mobile worker with Orga on top. Mika comes in to help. It takes a moment for Orga to realize what just happened. Orga goes to check on Biscuit. Biscuit is fighting for Cookie and Cracker, and he fights until his last breath. Carta and some of her men are able to make their way while Mika is distracted by Biscuit. Tekkadan mourns his death. They wonder what they are going to say to Cookie and Cracker. Orga is in shock. Meanwhile, McGillis is sad that Carta didn't die in battle. Or happy? He's being too tongue-in-cheek. Isnario meets with Heinrich Fleurs, who is expected to be the next representative of Arbrow, as she has Galahorn's support. Isnario is also the legal guardian of Carta after her dad fell ill. He has control over the Issue family and the Bodine family after marrying off McGillis to a child. Now he's trying to get control of Arbrow. Carta yells at Corliss, but they got word from Isnario and they need to pull out. Galileo doesn't want to put Iron through a Leia Vignana system surgery. They learn that Carta's mission failed. He shows Galileo a mobile suit frame that uses the Leia Vignana system. Everyone is mad and upset. Shino tells Eugene about Biscuit. Cudelia wants to change their course. They will head to Anchorage, Alaska and take a Teiwaz freighter to Edmonton. Makanai is also going to need his supporters to lobby for him in the meantime. Mika tells Orga, "Bitch, you better order me around." This gets Orga out of his slump after Biscuit's death. They head to Anchorage and transfer to a train. Isnario is willing to give Carta one more chance by defeating Tekkadan on their way to Edmonton. Isnario says it was actually McGillis that wanted to give her a second chance. We flash back to Galio, Carta, and McGillis as children. She helped McGillis when he was at a low point, so he wants to help her in her operation. Makanai notes that the kids are out for revenge. Teiwaz delivered 20 Union mobile workers to Tekkadan. The Union New Model Mobile Worker is a variant of the Union mobile worker seen during the Dort Rebellion. It is equipped with a 40mm machine gun turret, a 7.62mm coaxial machine gun, and a 40mm grenade launcher. These do not have the Alea Vignana system. Maribet tells Orga not to drag the young children into this, but the young children says this is their choice. McGillis went behind Galio's back and turned Ein into a lab rat. He is now fused with Galahorn's Alea Vignana system mobile suit, the Gray's Ein. The EB-AX2 Gray's Ein is an Alea Vignana system mobile suit designed by Galahorn. For this to work, the mobile suit and pilot must be one, and Ein is essentially a brain in a jar. This allows the mobile suit to move at the speed of Ein's thoughts. This unit is very agile and has extended limbs for more articulation to mimic human movement. There are no cockpit monitors and everything is beamed into Ein's retinas. Weapons include a 40mm retractable shoulder machine gun, a custom large axe, a drill kick, a screen punch, and a pile bunker. This is also probably a glimpse into how people were treated during the Calamity War, which is why this is probably so taboo now. McGillis believes he and Ein will help reform Galahorn. Mika lets Orga know that Biscuit told him that he would never quit, giving Orga a little bit more closure. They detect Ahab waves. It is Carta's team. Carta goes off about her pride. They wonder how they found the route. Orga thinks that someone betrayed them, like Crank at the beginning of the series. Carta challenges Tekkadan to a 3v3 duel. She says they will give him 30 minutes. Mika says, "I'll give you my mace now." Carta says, "No, my pride." Mika goes low and gets a hit on Carta. "Check out this sweet kick and this chainsaw on my hammer." He beats her senseless while she babbles about honor. He then breaks her sword. Before he is able to kill her, Galio approaches and is Kamari's trooper. The ASW-G66 Kamari's trooper is the Kamari's final form designed for extended combat. It moves on all four of its legs in trooper form. A hover unit is installed on the rear skirt. Its main weapon is the Kamari's destroyer lance, which is bigger than the Kamari's lance. Other weapons include the Kamari's shield and the Kamari's saber. Mika goes to chase, but Orga tells him and the rest of Tekkadan that they don't have to seek vengeance. Galio retreats with Carta, but she passes away, thinking that Galio is McGillis. Tekkadan have been fighting Galahorn non-stop for 3 days. They have 6 hours to get Makanai to Edmonton. Orga and the mobile worker team pull back as they are running out of ammo. Meanwhile, the mobile suit team is able to push Galahorn back. They have lost quite a lot. Ride mentions that the rivers can be crossed with mobile workers. Ride wants to fight, and Orga allows it. He didn't want the younger kids to get involved, but they don't have a choice. Everyone begins gathering at Edmonton, along with Isnario. Orga wants Maribet to get the wounded and retreat. The rest are going to act as a diversion for Cudelia and Makanai. Maribet thinks this is stupid and their lives aren't worth this. But like what Orga said at the beginning, this is the freest they have ever been, and they are dying on their terms, which is living a merc life. Takaki puts on Biscuit's hat. "He's the new Biscuit. I'm calling you Cheddar Biscuit." Nutty, being the only other adult, also acknowledges that this is all really messed up, but he gets it. The kids should have never been put into this position, but unfortunately, these kids were. No amount of justifying morality is going to change that it happened, and these kids are allowed to exercise their free will because of it. Atra is Cudelia's driver as they are running out of men. She wants to do her part too. They move in to attack Galahorn. Galio pilots his Kamari's trooper. Dios goes down. No, Dios! Who's Dios? They're able to push past the bridge. That is when Eugene and his team come in to help the mobile workers. And Chad, don't forget Chad, a giant mobile suit approaches from the sky. It is the Gray's Ein. They could tell by the reaction time that this has an Alea Vignana system. Ein takes down Aji's Rue. No, not one of the bitches. Laughter is on the defensive. Mika can't help because he is distracted by Galio. Laughter's Rue goes down as well. Ein then goes after the Rusei-Go, Crank's old grays, and gets his revenge. No, not Shino. Makanai's caravan infiltrates Edmonton. They cut off LCS within the city. Ein moves into the city as well. Cudelia tries to stop a giant mobile suit with her bangs and her words. He attacks, but Mika comes in and protects them all. He is able to do so because Montag distracts Galio. He takes off his mask to reveal that he is McGillis. Orga, Cudelia, and Makanai regroup with Takaki and rush to Parliament. Ein goes, "So, there's this one guy. His name is Crank." Shino is still alive. Meanwhile, McGillis says to Galio, "Let me tell you about my ideals." What is with these people? He says that Galahorn having the Grey's Ein is proof of their contradiction. This is about bringing to light Isnario's corruption and his scheming with Heinrich. Galio realizes that he is using Ein and feels betrayed by his friend. The two fight. Makanai is able to make it to the assembly just in time. After dropping them off, Orga returns to the battlefield and Mika. McGillis tells Galio, "You know what, bro? I am going to bang your sister." He stabs the Kamaris in the cockpit and Galio goes down. The limiters are off on Barbatos, so he lets the Alea system consume him. For the first time, his reaction time is faster than Ein's. "Oh, Mika, you good? You popped a blood vessel there." Makanai, still being the acting prime minister, gives Cudelia a platform to speak. Tekkadan launches drones to fix their LCS problem. That's kinda neat. Orga tells his men that their mission was a success and to not die here. Ein attacks Mika. Barbatos purges the armor, revealing the frame underneath. This gives him a slight edge in speed, and he is able to slice off Ein's arms. Ein cries about Crank. Mika stabs him and shuts him up. Finally, a ceasefire is called. The elections are over, and Makanai was re-elected Prime Minister of Arbrow. He works out a deal with Cudelia regarding the half medal, and they hire Tekkadan as military advisors. Meanwhile, McGillis becomes head of the family and advises Isnario to step down and accept punishment. Welcome back to Daddy, bitches. Naze tells Orga to continue fighting for the ones they lost. Mika can't see well out of his right eye, and his right arm doesn't work, except when he is connected to the Alea system. He can still pilot the Gundam. Cudelia isn't returning to Mars with them. She says her goodbyes to Tekkadan, but people are still making moves in the background. But for now, Tekkadan returns home to Mars. Orga and Mika look at a memorial to those who have fallen during Season 1. They're about to head to Saisei, where they will become full-on Teiwaz members, instead of working directly under the Turbines. Galahorn's corruption has been exposed to the world. The world is starting to change. Cudelia helped form a new company under Teiwaz called Admos Company to help mine half-metals. The exposure of Galahorn has led to increase in human debris. We are introduced to Hashmal from the Reserve Corps, while Shino is training the new recruits. Dante and Laughter are having a mock battle in the Shiden. The STH-16 Shiden is a mass production general-purpose mobile suit developed by Teiwaz and is built off of the Hyakuri and Hyakuden. This uses the IO frame. It is easier to maintain and can change its loadout depending on its needs. This is designed to be used in a team, and the Greys is still superior in solo battles. This is still being developed. Weapons include a 130mm assault rifle, a riot shield, a gauntlet which doubles as a shield, and a bladed bat. Many new recruits want to get the Alea surgery, but Eugene tells them this wasn't a choice for them, and you don't want this. Many failing companies are trying to get Cudelia to work with them to boost business. One of these companies is Terra Libriones. Biscuit's goal of sending Cookie and Cracker to school came true. Tekkadan is attacked while trying to pick up the girls. Cudelia and others are coming to Mars for a tour. This will be some of the younger members' first mission. McGillis is meeting the head of families of the 7 stars. Galio's father, Gallus, represents the Bodines. Nemo represents the Baklazan family. Alec represents the Falk family. Rustle is a part of Elians, and finally Iok Jukon. They bicker over slowly losing power. We are introduced to Julieta of the Oriented Fleet. Rustle Elians wants her to work with the Outer Orbital Fleet to monitor Mars. I guess what's left of it after Carta died? While everyone gathers at Mars for the tour. The pirates Dawn Horizon Corps attack. It seems they were hired by Terra Libriones, who was turned down by Cudelia. Mika is away on business picking up Barbie, so Akihito and the gang attack the pirates piloting Garm Roadies. The UGY R45 Garm Roadie is a mobile suit built off of the Roadie frame. Like the Man Roadie, this is equipped with heavy armor. It is versatile, even for its chunky size. It has a unique armored head sensor. The commander unit has a bigger antenna. Weapons include the boost hammer, a rifle, a pair of hand grenades, a shield on the left shoulder, a 300mm long rifle, and a buster sword. This has an Alea Vignana system for the pirates' human debris. The mobile workers move back as Shino's team of Shidens move in. He is piloting a Shiden Custom. The STH-16TC Shiden Custom is Shino's customized Shiden. The Gauntlet shield can be used by the standard Shiden, but it isn't a part of the standard loadout like Shino's. The Ryusei Go's battle data is finely tuned to Shino's needs. His is the only Shiden with an Alea Vignana system. This will eventually be handed down to Ride Mass. Weapons include a partisan edged weapon and an assault rifle. They take out one squad with Shino destroying the Garmrodi unit, but another squad is moving in on their location. Orga talks a big game about perseverance to Cudelia, but then Mika makes his appearance. Orga says, "Oh, Mika's here. Never mind. We got this." He is piloting the upgraded Barbie. The ASW G08 Gundam Barbatos Lupus is upgraded by Teiwaz on Saisei. Based on Mika's battle data, he defaults to melee, so they decided to make it a melee unit. It has also been finely tuned for Mika's needs, including a lengthened frame, better suspension in the legs, and upgraded joints. There are extra waist thrusters. This actually has a worse operating time, but it hasn't bothered Mika. He also defaults to the new and better balanced twin mace. Other weapons include a sword mace, 200mm arm guns, a close to mid-range rocket launcher, a new longsword, a variable mace, and a large railgun. The mobile suit also has a subarm and, of course, the AVS. Mika begins smashing heads. He is now known as the Devil of Tekkadan. The remaining pirate retreats, but Barbatos just stops working. Cool pose, though. Dawn Horizon plans on attacking Tekkadan once again. Their leader, Sandoval, is all about that pirate life. Okay, he's all about that made-for-TV pirate life because it doesn't include raid. It turns out Nobilis is trying to use Terra Librionis like he did with Cudelia, but he finds them useless now. Orga is going to send Cudelia to the farm to lay low. Atra makes Cudelia a harem bracelet. Mika's bracelet smells like blood. Oh no, it's Toto, and he's here to offer the children candy. Tekkadan has been helping Montag under the table. He seems to know about Dawn Horizon and wants them subjugated. Subjugated? This jailbait lover is always making things weird. Orga accepts his offer as it is beneficial for both. They pass this on to McMurdo and Jastly Donamikles, who seems to be the Teiwaz money man. I didn't realize Chad's full name is Chad Chadden. I aspire to be this level of Chad. He is telling the Earth Tekkadan branch that they are fighting pirates, so their supplies on Earth will be lighter than usual. Ashton is one of the Brewers, human debris that joined Tekkadan after Akihito's brother got squished like a pancake. Ashton is kind of an ass. He, along with Takaki and his sister Fuka, are living in Alberta. While everyone is eating Atra's stew made of real chicken, wow. Hush tells Nadi that he wants to be a mobile suit pilot. He wants to get the Alea Vignana system, but he is too old. You have to be young for it to work apparently, or you'll just end up a vegetable. Hush had a friend that got the AVS when younger, and ended up being paralyzed from the waist down. He eventually committed suicide. Julieta, Locke, and the Orange Hood fleet are heading to Mars. They don't trust McGillis. In the hangar, Rustal Elian meets with a Char clone. But this one has LEDs. Dude must be a gamer. Also, Rustal's over here dyeing his hair but not his beard, sending out all the divorced dad vibes. Cudelia hangs out at the farm while Tekkadan preps for another attack from Dawn Horizon. Eugene is in command of the Isaribi, while Orga is in the Hotarubi. The NOA 0132 Hotarubi is an Isaribi fused with a cargo ship. It has dedicated hangars on both sides and carries an unknown number of mobile suits. Weapons include one main gun at the rear of the bridge, 2 anti-aircraft guns on both sides of the bridge, 8 missile launchers, and 2 wired anchors at the bow. Hotarubi means firefly. Can they do that? McGillis sent his representative, Isurugi, to help Tekkadan out. More of Isurugi's ships are coming to help, but they need to attack before Dawn Horizon. Shino's team scouts ahead as they detect Ahab waves. There are 10 ships approaching. Most are hidden behind their flagship. Orga gives Eugene command of the fleet. Dude uses his AVS like a boss. Watch out for the nosebleeds, though. Mika launches along with Akihito in the Gushan Rebake Full City. The ASW G11 Gushan Rebake Full City also received damage over time and was rebuilt by Teiwaz and uses Akihito's battle data for tuning. The frame remains intact, but the outside of the Gundam is all new. Weapons include the scissor variable rear armor, the knuckle guard, a
a single rocket in the forearm, a 120mm long-range rifle, the Gushian Rebake Halberd, a smoothbore gun, and a railgun. It also has a sub-arm and enhanced sights. Akihito 2 wanted this to be a close combat mobile suit. Generator output is improved. Isurugi joins the battle in a Schwalbe Graze. Tekkadan deploys nano-mirrored chaff. Ride tells Akihito to go resupply. Oh hey, Ride's here. Meanwhile, Mika is showing off his mace. It is his turn to resupply. That is when 2 Hugos join the battle. The IPP 66305 Hugo was developed during the Calamity War and is a high-mobility mobile suit designed for close to medium-range combat. Its go-to technique is to deploy the Shot Lancer claws and/or leg claws, and then finish off the enemy with a melee weapon. The cockpit is located in the head, making it easier to bail out. This is built on top of the hexaframe. Other weapons include leg claws, a head missile, a scimitar, a 110mm machine gun, a buster sword, and a 300mm long rifle. As Mika refuels, Atra feeds him a pita sandwich and watermelon-flavored drink. Is there any real watermelon in it? Hell no. The Oriented fleet makes its way to the battlefield. Mr. LED Mask thinks that McGillis is working with Tekkadan. Tekkadan tries not to engage with Galahorn. Sandoval tells his fleet to pull back while the pirate captain launches in a Hugo. Iat and Julieta pilot the Regenlays. The EB-08 Regenlays is the successor to the Greys. After Season 1, Galahorn moved from general-purpose machines to specialized units. This is designed for anti-mobile suit combat specifically. There are only 18 units, all in use by the Oriented fleet. This is built on the new Regenlays frame, which has better sensors and joints. It also has a more simplified structure, making it easy to swap out parts. This removes the high heel look of the Greys for a more grounded foot. It can be modified for the pilot's needs. Julieta's unit is close combat focused, for example. Weapons include a 130mm rifle, a multi-weapon pack, a shield gauntlet, and the twin pile which looks like pikes. Mika engages with Julieta, preventing him from getting to Sandoval. He tries to ignore her for the pirate captain, but 2 more pirates and Hugos run defense. Isurugi comes in to help. Iak is sniping from afar in his own personal Regenlays. The EB-08S locks Regenlays as a bigger antenna for longer range communications. His mobile suit is designed to be long range so he doesn't have to be on the front lines, since he is the head of the Kujan family. Its main weapon is the prototype long-range railgun. It also has the Grey's Ritter's Nightblade. Isurugi holds off Julieta, allowing Mika to attack. He takes out the 2 support Hugos. Mika manhandles Sandoval. He pops out of the Hugo like a jack-in-the-box. Now that they have the pirate captain, they tell Dawn Horizon to lay down arms and surrender. They take Anime Deadshot prisoner. Their mission is complete, and they head back to Mars. McMurdo is going to up Tekkadan's funds after their success. Jasly thinks that this isn't a good allocation of resources. Isurugi assigns Array Proto to be the new Mars branch head. He is essentially the new Coral. Orga pays Allium Gyojan of Terra Librionis a visit. They know they hired Dawn Horizon. Orga says, "So, you made the biggest mistake of your life. How are you going to fix this?" Orga demands that they pay double the reparations of the damage incurred during the battle. Allium tries to get Galahorn on the phone, but they shoot one of his men and tell him Galahorn ain't coming. Aw, you made Mika drop his dates. I guess you have to die. Unlike the Turbines, Mika's bitches seem to manage themselves. Speaking of the Turbines, they and Eugene look out at the future Crise half-metal mines. The land surveyor shows them something they found while digging. It looks like a Gundam frame. Orga meets with McGillis. He wonders what he is after. McGillis explains that he wants to reform Galahorn, but to do that he needs more power. He needs Rustal's power. McGillis and Tekkadan decide to become allies.
Makanai tells Cudelia to have some patience. Earth Tekkadan doesn't like the Teiwaz rep, Radice Riloto watching over them. Chad is evolving into Giga Chad. Tekkadan is assigned by Radice to run security for a ceremony. Tekkadan on Mars are sending Earth Tekkadan some Shidens. Mika gives Orga some Mars palms because he's getting skinny. We learn that Mika doesn't remove the shell of the Mars palms and eats them whole. Orga doesn't realize this until he takes a bite. This dude's savage. Rustal mentions that he is working with that bearded man to help create conflict between Arbrow and SAU. SAU, that's future America. SAU. SAU. Ashton learns what pride is for the first time. Oh, this is Japanese anime. I mean, Praido. I wish I could have held a gun before learning about Praido. While Chad is talking to Makanai, Radice walks into the room and says, "Oh hey, those flowers weren't in here recently." It is a bomb. Chad rushes to protect Makanai before the explosion goes off. This was caused by the bearded man known as Galen Mosa. It seems Radice is working against Tekkadan with Galen to start just a little war. Just a little one. A small war. McGillis is informed of the attack. It seems many of the blocks are relying on private military forces over Galahorn. Tekkadan is tired of waiting for answers, as they are only tasked with guarding the outside, while the Arbrow defense forces handle things on the inside of the government building, where the attack occurred. They want to take action into their own hand. The chain of command falls on Takaki, who tries to settle them down. He talks to Radice to get answers. Makanai and Chad are unconscious according to this Excel document that I'm looking at. What is this? He gives Takaki the runaround. He's also giving Mars Tekkadan the runaround as well. So Orga decides, screw it, let's go to Earth. They were heading there in a few days to deliver the Shidens anyways. Cudelia is going to go with them back to Earth. Mika too is now joining. Takaki refuses to see Radice as a traitor. Ashton says, so, should we do a suicide mission? No, Ashton, we don't instantly jump to suicide. But I like where your head's at. Orga and Mars are informed that SAU now may declare war because of this. It is going to take them 3 weeks to get to Earth. Takaki meets Galen. Radice says that he is the head of the Arbrow Defense Force. The fighting started when a scout plane went down due to Ahab waves. Galahorn is helping SAU in the conflict, specifically the Outer Earth Orbit Regulatory Joint Fleet, aka McGillis. This is the first time two economic blocks fought one another. Tekkadan has been assisting Arbrow, and things have been dragging out for days. What is that anime cliche where you think to yourself, but in reality you're actually narrating to the audience? That's what Takaki is currently doing. He should probably focus on the battle. Takaki and Tekkadan are operating Landman Roadies. The Landman Roadie is a modified man roadie stolen from the Brewers and used by Tekkadan's Earth branch. The legs have been replaced with ones more suitable for ground combat. It is outfitted with the Alea Vignana system. Weapons include Vulcan guns, a hammer chopper, which is a hatchet/hammer, a 90mm machine gun, and hand grenades. It also has a wired hook. McGillis wasn't expecting this to drag out so long. He realizes that Tekkadan are staying back and forcing SAU and Galahorn into the brush. They lose a bro in the process. I can't keep track of all these boys. Another mobile worker is shot down. It is Lux. Not Lux. I only know this boy's name because Takaki is yelling it. There are too many boys, damn it. Galen does a menacing laugh while Takaki mourns the dead. Not ominous at all. Takaki has all the feelings, but Ashton feels nothing. Poor slave boy. Julieta wonders who Mr. LED Mask is. Alright boys, shirts off. Let's go into action. On the Hotarubi. Akihiro is working out. Alright girls, shirts off. Let's do this. Yeah, pass bro. However, Laughter does like what she sees. Slave boy is doing it for her. Mika teaches Hush the power of sleep. They are one day out. Fuka visits Giga Chad, who is in the hospital. Meanwhile, Takaki is running away from a Gilda SAU. The IPP 0032S Gilda SAU is a modified version of the Gilda, an Oceanian mobile suit built on top of the hexaframe. This is typically a construction mobile suit, but SAU modified it for combat. It is a close to mid-range unit. They source their own parts as to not be reliant on Galahorn. Weapons include a short barrel rifle, a sword club, a shield bunker, and a 90mm machine gun. Galen launches an Arbrow's Gay Rail. The EB-04 Gay Rail is a general-purpose mobile suit used by Galahorn and other mercenaries. This is built off of the Valkyria frame. It has been developed from the Grim Gertie, but Galahorn phased most of these out, as the Gray's line is seen as superior. Galen's Gay Rail has a Gray's cockpit. Weapons include a 110mm rifle, a shield axe, and the Pickle, which is a giant pickaxe. It also has a self-destruct unit. Spoilers! As Takaki runs, the Gilda SAU aims its gun. Luckily, Galen saves him in the nick of time. He tells him that victory is near. Bitch, you're the one intentionally dragging this out. Tekkadan makes it to Earth, but they won't allow them to descend to the planet due to the war. It seems they're trying to prevent them from helping. I assume that they is Galahorn in this situation. Looks like they have to bust in. Ashton still sees himself as human debris, but Takaki reminds him that they are family. McGillis launches in a Gray's Ritter commander type. Arbrow and Tekkadan prep for battle. Also on Arbrow's side is the Hlok Grays. The AEB-06L Hlok Grays was developed after the Battle of Edmonton and became a general-purpose, low-cost national security mobile suit. It resembles monkey models, which are poor knockoffs that the Soviets gave to their non-communist allies in the real world. It uses a simplified Gray's frame. This is used by Arbrow, Galahorn, and much more. Weapons include missiles stored in the head, a 90mm submachine gun, and a small axe. The name Hlok is apparently one of the mythical Valkyries. No, not that version of the Valkyries. Actually, yeah, that version. McGillis goes poke, 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 poke. Galen moves in first to strike. Also on his team is the Gairel Scharfrichter, the EB-04 JC4 4. Gyrail Scharfrichter is a sister unit to the Gyrail and has heavier armor and equipment. This is mainly a melee unit. Weapons include a 110mm rifle, a pickle, which is an ice pick, a land mace, a pair of claw shields, hand grenades, and a bazooka. It also has a hover unit and a booster unit on the back. Also, Scharfrichter means executioner in German. This is an example of when they should have directly changed the name. Gyrail Executioner sounds way better. McGillis asks Takaki if it was Orga who gave these orders to fight him. He ignores McGillis and attacks. Takaki knocks out his Nightblade, but McGillis grabs the pickle and swings towards his cockpit. Ashton pushes Takaki out of the way, and he takes the brunt of the attack. Oh no, I totally didn't see that one coming. Ashton grabs the Gray's Ritter. McGillis can't escape. Galen aims at McGillis, but suddenly Barbie and Tekkadan joins the battle. Galen's team retreats. Takaki goes to save Ashton. He wished that he never met them because human debris can't have feelings. Because he felt something, he believes that he has to die. Unlike Akihito, Ashton couldn't break out of the shackles of being a slave. He saw himself as another until his last breath. Eugene and Akihito find Radice, and they force him to tell them where Galen is. The red alert goes off at Galen's camp. Tekkadan moves in on their location. Akihito drops from the sky and tells Galen that he's about to get the full city, bitch. He doesn't hesitate to attack him. Hush is struggling in his first battle, but is saved by Mika. This character is going to do something reckless in the future, and the story is going to try to make me feel something for him. It's not going to work. What the hell? For this one shot, the artist drew the lines on Galen's face 3 times bigger. For 2 seconds, this became a Studio Trigger anime. Akihito says, check out my skirt. I could take it apart and turn it into scissors. He crushes the Gyrail, and Galen self-destructs his unit. Tekkadan interrogates Radice, but Mika says, this is pointless. Let's just kill him. Takaki says that this is an Earth Tekkadan problem, and to let him handle it. Mika goes, yeah, okay, and hands him a gun. He asks Radice why he betrayed them. He tries to say that Orga is too far to understand Earth's problems. Takaki says neat, and gives him 3 bullets. A triple tap, nice. McGillis says Chocolate Daddy is back. You know, I'm amazed that Mika peeled off the wrapper and didn't just eat the whole thing. He tells Mika about Agnica, the man who created Galahorn. Julieta learns that Galen is dead. He was apparently a mentor of the sorts to her. Russell reminds her that you can't mourn a man that never existed. Takaki tells his sister of Ashton's death. The 7 Stars try to investigate this Galen Mosa, but he doesn't seem to exist. They think that Arbrow is trying to cover something up, exactly what Rustal wants. Rustal meets with McGillis. He is reminded of their first meeting when he was a kid. McGillis simply said the name, Bio. We learn that this is a reference to the first Gundam piloted by Agnica. Rustal knows that he manipulated people behind the scenes, which is ironic because McGillis is almost like an anti-Char. Everyone around him is corrupt and he is just pointing out the corruption and fixing it. Sure, he's just doing it for his own self-interest, but you know what? Actually, no, this is just Char. He is amazed that Rustal can make this Galen Mosa completely disappear off any records. Arbrow and SAU have reached a peace agreement. A part of that agreement is that Tekkadan has to leave Earth. Everyone on Earth is hyper-nationalist now and becoming self-sufficient. Tekkadan isn't needed. Makanai wants Cudelia to stay on Earth. Oh god, it's the Giga Chad himself! Since the Brewers, human debris didn't have last names, Akihito gave him the Atlan name. They were his brother Masahito's family, so it felt right. He regrets not talking to Ashton more. Takaki hates himself for believing in Radice. McGillis knows that Rustal is behind the Arbrow SAU war. They must take him down if they want to reform Galahorn. He says that if they could do this, McGillis will essentially give Mars to Tekkadan. Fuka and Takaki have a cry session over Ashton's death. Everyone is down to continue helping McGillis with the exception of Takaki. He is tired of making Fuka cry and wants to appreciate what he has without killing more. He knows that Mars domination will just mean more killing. They all thank Takaki and ensure that he is well taken care of on Earth. Cudelia decides to not stay on Earth and head back to Mars. As they take their leave from Mars, Mika tells Orga that he was relieved when Takaki quit. He says, what's that about? Mika apparently just learned what empathy is. Galahorn are finally recognizing that the national blocks are starting to arm themselves, and there is nothing they can do about it. This has been a slow inevitability since the Dort colony incident. Mr. LED Mask wants to crack down on those intervening with Galahorn, knowing this means fighting McGillis. Derma is a former Brewer human debris. After hearing of the death of Ashton, he wants to pilot one of the roadie frames. They're receiving many sheet-ins. Just like Chad, many of the boys are shirtless and ready to train. The reason Laughter and Agi are even a part of this season is because they are overseeing production of the Shidans. However, it looks like their job is coming to an end. They weren't able to get the latest machine they dug up working because the Ahab reactor appears to be asleep. The mechanics at Ceasefire help to get this running. Naze and the other company heads meet with McMurdo. They are mad that Tekkadan made a deal with McGillis without consulting Teiwaz. This deal, however, will make them all really rich. Naze is willing to put his life on the line if Orga is wrong about this deal. Naze tells Orga to watch his back. Teiwaz's internal conflict will lead to many wanting both Turbines and Tekkadan out of Teiwaz. He also tells him that this is the last time he is going to forgive little bro. Hush now treats Mika like his senpai. Mika tells him to go away. After Chad talks to Nutty, he realizes he doesn't stink anymore. Bro's always stinky, something must be up. It appears it's because he and Maribit have been hooking up. Giga Chad is mad. Was there a moment that showed that Chad was into her? Giga Chad says, why didn't anyone tell me? Apparently no one else realized Chad was into her either. Maybe show more signs. You know what? You're getting demoted to just Chad again. Prove your Giga worthiness. This ship shows up more times than the Bisco or the Skipjack, but who the hell knows what they are? Maybe it's an orbital colony. I don't know. Isurugi says that Tekkadan can use part of the ship for whatever they wish. They now essentially have access to an orbital docking station. Currently, SAU and the Oceanian colonies are going through their own rebellions. The more Cudelia's business grows on Mars, the more it inspires others to take action. Nobilis knows this and is playing his hands. Cudelia says, excuse me, are you playing a menacing game of chess while talking to me? You know how we feel about that. Galahorn is training. They go up against Mr. LED Mask and Gundam Vidar. The ASWG XX Gundam Vidar is an upgraded version of the Gundam Kimari's Trooper. This was done after Rustal and the Ariantrad fleet saved the mobile suit after the Battle of Edmonton. They upgraded the machine, but these upgrades were mainly designed to hide the fact that it is a Gundam. A third Ahab reactor is added to the backpack. It doesn't add extra power. It's designed to only mess with Ahab frequencies. All Kimari's weapons have been replaced. This has a pseudo-Alea Vignana system which allows human-machine integration without the need for life-threatening surgery. This is achieved by using Ein's brain as an interface. Weapons include a Buster Saber, a 110mm rifle, a handgun, and blades in the feet called Hunter's Edge. He is able to handle business in the new Gundam frame. This is a man out for revenge. Hey, you kinda sound like that guy who tried to get that other guy to bang his prepubescent sister. Speaking of Space Epstein, McGillis tries to talk geopolitics to a 10-year-old girl. Yeah, no shit. Jasly is spying on Tekkadan. He knows they are working with a ferried family of the Seven Stars. Many of the Teiwaz companies don't like Tekkadan or the Turbines, like McMurdo. Jasly also has connections with the Seven Stars, and he too can play this game. Iko and Yamagi wonders what's up with this Gundam frame they found. They have no data on this unit. The only people that do are Galahorn, since they are working with McGillis. Iko wonders, why not just ask? Also, Iko Turbine has been around since season 1. I'm pretty sure most of you confused her for laughter because she doesn't really serve a story purpose until now. The orbiting ship is called Ares. So they have a name for the ship but no data on it. Okay. After asking McGillis about the mysterious mobile suits they found, he tells them to immediately stop excavation of the unit. He tells them that these things are called mobile armors. They are weapons that could kill millions and destroy civilizations. It's so serious that McGillis heads towards Mars instantly. Jasly wants to use this opportunity to make a move on the Seven Stars. Rustal's team is informed that McGillis is on the move. They also know of the mobile armor. Rustal calls them Plumas. They are solely responsible for the Calamity Wars, and it was Agnica and his team that took down the mobile armors. The Pluma is an unmanned mobile armor subunit created by the Hashmal. These units are weak, but they are strong in numbers. It is designed for swarm attacks. The Pluma sends data back to the Hashmal, so it could create improved forms on the fly. Weapons include a railgun, claws, and a drill on the tail. Vidar understands that McGillis is after the Order of the Seven Stars. This is the highest title of the Seven Stars given to those who take down mobile armors. It was how the Seven Stars families were formed. The Order of the Seven Stars have the ability to change the Seven Stars royal families. Those that control the power controls the seats. Jasly is of course the one leaking intel to Rustal. Meanwhile at Saisei, the team activates the Pluma. Atra, Mika, and Hush visit Cudelia. Everyone's amazed that Mika could read an entire sentence on his own. Progress. Cudelia manages Mika's money, and a lot of the other kids' money. Cudelia notes that it's sad that these kids are now making money for the first time, and they don't do anything with it. Their base needs are met, and most of the slave work they did in the past were to simply cover those base needs. Cudelia says it shows how little they truly know about the world. I don't know, man. Kinda sounds pure to me. Free of consumption? What a dream. McGillis meets with Tekkadan. Mika, Hush, and some others act as security while on the Martian surface. They're using mobile workers and wonder why. He tells the boys that he is afraid that a Gundam might awaken it. During the Calamity War, mobile suits were originally created solely for the purpose of destroying mobile armors. When they head to the excavation site, they are met with the Iron Rod fleet, including Eok and his Regenlays. They can't get into contact with Eugene. At Saisei, they just got control of the Pluma after it tried to kill them all. Eok moves close to the mobile armor and activates it. This is the Hashmal. The Hashmal is a self-sustaining unmanned mobile armor that killed millions during the Calamity War. Their thought processing is based off of their self-learning AI system. Unlike the Plumas, these use Ahab reactors. This is mainly designed for ground use. Smaller unmanned mobile armors called Plumas are controlled by a bigger mobile armor like the Hashmal. Weapons include a beam weapon, a kinetic energy shot lancer, and a super hard wire blade. That's the most emotion I've seen out of Mika this entire series. McGillis says they need to retreat. They aren't going to be able to handle this. Eok and his team attack the mobile armor. It launches Pluma in overwhelming numbers. Eok retreats to save the bloodline, while his men die. It is getting dangerously close to the half-metal mines. The Plumas are refueling and resupplying. They are more concerned with the overwhelming numbers of the Plumas than the Hashmal. Dante and Shino are ready to go into action. Calm down, not just yet, boys. Put your shirts back on. Eok thought McGillis wanted the Order of the Seven Stars, but he is just trying to snuff out corruption. But now that he put the idea into McGillis's head, the Order doesn't sound so bad. Holy self-fulfilling prophecy. Their best bet is to set a trap for the mobile armor. Kreise? I forgot what we decided on. The city seems to be its next target. Vidar and Julieta move in to search for Eok. Mars doesn't seem to have big enough shelters for events like this. Cudelia doesn't want to evacuate if the people of Kreise can't shelter. She decides to stay. They plan on trapping it in a gorge near Kreise. McGillis lets Isurugi pilot the Helmwig Rheincar. The VO8 RE-0526 Helmwig Rheincar is a retrofitted Valkyria frame similar to the Grim Gerda. This was built off of data in Galahorn's records on something called a Helmwig unit that this is loosely based off of. The Grim Gerda was lightweight and mobile, but this unit is a heavy boy. This is technically considered an escort unit. However, this mobile suit is very mobile if it moves in a straight line. That's something. It has expandable feet for atmospheric use. Weapons include the Valkyria Buster sword with a detachable short club and the electric shock horn, which can immobilize units. This guy says cargo, which the word load can be used in this context. But it certainly is a choice of the translator to use the word load. Is it just us? Are Westerners gross? Are we the problem? Just as the Hashmal is about to take the bait and head into the gorge, it is attacked by Eok. The mobile armor changes its course. Akihiro's team tries to get the mobile suit to change course again. Ride moves in and tanks a beam blast. However, the nano-laminate armor makes it relatively useless on mobile suits. Can't say the same for the people that were just vaporized though. Plumas swarm on Ride Shiden when Mika comes to save the day. Isurugi and McGillis head out. Chocolate Man is in a Schwalbe Graze. They run into Vidar and his Gundam. Ride Shiden is dead in the water after Mika came in to help. Pumas rush to his location. Barbatos is acting strange. Isurugi, McGillis, and Vidar stare at one another. Vidar says, "How dare you use the same mobile suit Carta died in?" McGillis knows exactly who this is now. Vidar flees. Akihiro and Chad try to stop the Hashmal and change its direction. As the full city rushes in, something goes wrong and Akihiro is stopped in his tracks. Chad starts to lure it away. The full city and Barbatos are down and no one knows why. Orga sends out the first unit along with Laughter and Aji. Nadi goes to see if he could help fix Barbie. Julieta helps Eok, but he goes to take on the mobile armor by himself. Mika says that Barbatos stopped listening to him. One of the new mechanics this season is Zach Lowe. He tells Nadi that there are limiters on the machine preventing that mobile suit from going 100%, but the mobile armor is trying to force the mobile suit to max out its power. If Mika and Akihiro pilot their suits, they might have another incident like in Edmonton. Zach says, "Well, if you gave me more lines in the show, maybe I could have solved a lot more problems." They are overwhelmed by the number of Pumas. When the Hashmal begins working with them, Laughter and Aji weren't able to hold their formation and they break through. Eok comes in and says, "I'm joining this battle." Julieta comes down and says, "No, you're not." She pulls him out. Meanwhile, Atra and Cudelia do more harem management. They finally contact McGillis regarding the situation and go to help, but McGillis says they are taking the glory even though Tekkadan is doing all the work. Nadi recognizes this as well and tells him that they are walking on eggshells working with McGillis. Orga calls in Shino. They have a new mobile suit they could use. The Hashmal and Pumas continue through the cavern. Everyone teams up to take them down. Shino, with Yamagi sitting in his lap, rushes in piloting Gundam Flautos. The ASW G64 Gundam Flautos, or Ryusei Go version 4, is one of the Gundam frames found in the half-metal mines. It has a quadrupedal transformation mode called Shelling Mode. Ceasefire helped activate its 2 Ahab reactors. They added an Alea system. The railguns were built using parts from Teiwaz. While in shelling mode, it can pierce through nano-laminate armor. These Calamity War-era railguns were deemed illegal by Galahorn standards. Other weapons include a pair of short-barreled cannons, a 120mm machine gun, an assault knife, and a shield. You get a little feet action in this episode. That's a treat for you freaks out there. Shino waits for a command by Orga. They hear a voice on the comm saying they will handle it. It is Ride Mass and Shino's old Rusei Go. He attacks the Hashmal and it buys the others a few moments to get the upper hand. The Flautos transforms into its shelling mode and fires the Galaxy Cannon. This causes the cavern to fall apart, crushing many of the Pumas. They just have to focus on the Hashmal. The Aryan Rod fleet moves in to help, but they get swung around like toys. Everyone is losing ground. Orga goes out in a mobile worker. The mobile armor is unstoppable. It goes after Ride Mass. Even though Orga didn't want Mika to go out, he does so anyways. Barbatos joins the battle. We learn in a flashback what we probably all assumed to a certain extent, but was never said out loud. Since the incident when they were children, Mika views his life as being on borrowed time. He thought he was going to die that day as a kid, so for him he is willing to risk it all. Nothing has changed, however, and Mika be popping them blood vessels. The Gundam skates on the Mars desert dodging the Hashmal's attacks. As he gets closer, the mobile armor takes out the legs, the arm, and then tears through the torso, barely missing the cockpit. Mika pushes himself even further. He borrows the Helmrig Reinkar's Valkyria Buster Sword. He then bonks the Hashmal on the head and then stabs it through the beam saber. Barbatos is practically destroyed, but he was able to take down the mobile armor. McMurdo tells Orga that he's becoming too much of a lapdog to Galahorn. Luckily, Mars is bringing in a lot of money. Iak points fingers at McGillis for awakening the mobile armor, even though it was totally his fault. However, there isn't any proof. Most of the 7 stars understand that there are layers to this, and no, they can't make the 7 stars appear weak. Rustal essentially tells Iak to know his place. Julieta wants to pilot the new mobile suit. They have to bring Barbatos to Ceasefire for repairs. However, they can't until Mika gets out. He is passed out in the cockpit, and they can't disconnect him until he wakes. They don't know what will happen if they unplug him. He eventually comes to. They disconnect him, but he can't move. It turns out his entire right side no longer works. Cudelia, Atra, and Mika think that they could still make this harem work. Cudelia isn't handling it all too well, but then she realizes Atra is handling it even worse. Atra tells her to let Mika put a baby in her. You think his dick still works? After witnessing Barbatos take down the Hashmal, McGillis recognizes that raw power is what shapes the world, and he wants it. Meanwhile, Vidar is talking about gains, bro.
収穫?
Iak resorts to working with Jasly. He is very desperate. Mika is heading to Ceasefire with the Gundam in a few days. The adults know Mika shouldn't pilot Barbatos anymore, but he will never say no to Orga. Mika acknowledges that now that he is like this, the only thing he can really do in life is use Barbatos to fight. But if Cudelia could build a world where there is peace, then it is worth fighting for. They're gonna Bonnie and Clyde this shit. Aji, Laughter, and Echo are heading back to Turbines. Echo says you will train your entire life and you will never be as good as Aji, and we will never see you again. Well, it was nice meeting you too, Echo. Laughter says goodbye to Akihiro. He tells her that she's the only person who had his back besides Mika. Jasly tells Iak that the Turbines are the ones that are backing up Tekkadan. Julieta is joining Iak so she could test out her new mobile suit. Rustal tells Vidar that Iak wouldn't act reckless if he just takes off the mask, which means Rustal knows who he really is. I mean, he is the one who saved him. We flash back to Atra and Cudelia's baby-making conversation. She calms Atra down with some milk.
Milk?
Atra wants Cudelia to tie him down with a baby. Cudelia says, why don't you tie him down with a baby? They decide to both tie him down with a baby. The Turbines are working on a new mobile suit called the Hekija. The STH-20 Hekija takes data from the Hyakurin and Hyakuri and is a high-performance mass-produced mobile suit. This took more time to develop than the Shiden. The unit is built off of the Teiwaz frame, working close to Tekkadan. They developed methods to combat the Alevanyana system. This has an assault mode, which activates more thrusters, including 2 in the legs. Weapons include a rotating blade, a 110mm bayonet rifle, and the Tobiguchi blade. Naze and Amita reminisce about their past. She was originally hired as a mercenary. She used to pilot an old Spinneroti. He eventually asked her to be his wife, and they started the Turbines. He eventually created his harem. As mentioned before, he did this for protection. If you read between the lines, it essentially means that it's really hard to be a woman in the Outer Mars territory without getting human trafficked. The Turbines are informed that they are being investigated by Galahorn. Mika meets with McMurdo when Teiwaz is informed that Naze went missing. After being investigated by Galahorn, they found a weapon on board their ship, something from the Calamity War called the Dainsleif. This is the weapon that they attached to the Flauros. Even if he has found out that he gave up the turbines, Jasly doesn't think McMurdo would do anything because they rely on their money. Naze tells Orga to stay out of this, as they are now on the run. He tells him to protect his family and go his own way. He will do the same. But his family is made of bitches. It's way better than a bunch of dude bros. McMurdo tells Mika to tell Orga not to get involved. He will reorganize Tekkadan to be directly under him instead of the turbines, so they don't get dragged into this. Orga is mad that McMurdo isn't doing anything to help the turbines. Shino and Akihito will help save the girls. If they sneak in and get the girls out of there, they won't know they were there. They will use the Kuton booster. Ride will join them in his newly named Ride Go at the Turbine's relay base. The Turbines are trying to get the bitches to safety. Damn, that's a lot of bitches. Naze mentions that there are over 50,000 members. Ozzy and Laughter will protect the family while Amida and Naze distract the fleet. Naze pilots the Hammerhead himself, while Amida runs point in her Hyakuden. The Orient Rod fleet moves in. Iok deploys the Dainsleif team. As mentioned earlier, this is a powerful railgun, and is seen as inhumane by Galahorn standards. However, if the weapon is used with a conventional warhead, then it puts the weapon in a legal gray zone. Iok ignores the turbine ceasefire flares. The railgun takes out a lot of bitches on the transport. No, not the bitches. They fire again, getting a direct hit on the Hammerhead and almost hitting the Hyakuden. Amida goes to help Aji and Laughter when she is met with Julieta in the new Regenlays Julia. The EB-08 JJC Regenlays Julia is a prototype high-mobility, high-output variant of the Regenlays. New leg thrusters are added, unlike the Regenlays, which is for rookies to pilot with ease. This takes off the limiters so only a skilled pilot can use it. Weapons include a blade, Vulcan guns, a large blade, a large shield, and multiple claws. Its high output allows the mobile suit to hover. More bitches go down when Akihito, Ride, and Shino move in. Ride painted the Ride Go from pink to yellow. Amida ignores Julieta and goes straight for the Iron-Rod fleet. The Regenlays tries to stop her. The Hammerhead also tries to ram the fleet. The Dainsleif team fires again, getting a direct hit on Amida, killing her instantly. They fire on Naze. As the Hammerhead goes to ram the ship, it grazes Iok's flagship, but takes out one of his skipjacks, killing Naze in the process. Big Bro is dead. Now that he is gone, Jasly is going to try to push McMurdo out of Teiwaz. They all hold a funeral for Naze. McMurdo tells the turbines, "You're my bitches now." They will be reassigned. Ozzy tells Laughter that she should go with Tekkadan. Laughter asks out Akihito for drinks. The two go on a date and eventually say their farewells. She learns that she truly wants to be with the turbines. Orga is still crying over Big Bro. Meanwhile, Mika finally comes around to it and says that he and Atra should have a baby. Oh, now you have cold feet. Before leaving Saisei, Laughter stops in a store to buy a bear that looks like Akihito. While thinking about Akihito, an assassin pulls out a gun and shoots Laughter in cold blood. Echo informs Tekkadan that Laughter was murdered. They want revenge, knowing it was Jasly. Jasly expects them to attack and is waiting for them. McGillis will back Tekkadan if they attack. He knows that whatever decision they make, their relationship with Teiwaz ends here. Mika's cool with severing ties. He and Orga look up at Lupus Rex. Merbit informs Cudelia that something is happening on Earth after they have been cut off from Teiwaz. Tekkadan is already in the middle of the battle. Hugos are attacking Mika and the new Lupus Rex. The TASWG-08 Gundam Barbatos Lupus Rex is the upgraded Gundam after being destroyed by the Hashmal. Mika's combat data on the Hashmal has been integrated into this new unit. Speed has been vastly increased. The cockpit is front opening due to Mika being a potato. This Gundam is becoming increasingly more elongated to compensate for Mika's fighting style. The tail blade was taken from the Hashmal, and Mika can control it with the Alea Vignana system as though it was an extra limb. It is named Rex to represent the King of Mars. Weapons include the Ultra Mace, which has a pile bunker at the tip. The Rex nails, made of rare metals. A 200mm gun, a pile bunker on each heel, and an anti-ship lance mace. They tear through Jasly's first wave. Iok is supposed to back him up, but has yet to show up. He made an agreement to help. After that, he will take Iok to Saisei where Galahorn can arrest McMurdo. McGillis thinks that Jasly's JPT Trust is no match for Tekkadan, even though he has a bigger force. Hush uses a Hekija. Dante tells him not to mess it up. Iok still hasn't shown up to help Jasly. He sends out all his human debris to hold off Tekkadan. Dante and Hush return for resupplies and drink some Choco Milk. Being old human debris, Dante and Chad don't have a problem killing other human debris. It doesn't matter on the battlefield. They're still the enemy and they will kill them if they don't do it first. Akihito is taking out his anger on the battlefield. He's taking Laughter's death in strides. Julia is mad that if Iok didn't interfere, Amida would have killed her. She's mad she isn't strong enough. Iok isn't coming,
so Jastly goes groveling to McMurdo. He ended up making a deal with Rustall regarding the illegal weapons, in exchange for looking the other way regarding the turbines. He knew Jastly's plan the whole time, and he will have to get himself out of this mess. McMurdo says that Tekkadan is terrible at business, but they are natural-born leaders. Their pride is through the roof! Their pride also tears through their forces. That's some strong pride. Jastly tries to call a truce. Orga wanted to see him beg for his life, but it isn't fun for him anymore. Mika takes his mace and crushes the bridge, killing Jastly. Tekkadan and everyone else watches Earth broadcast as McGillis begins a coup. He tells the people the truth regarding the Turbines incident, and how the Seven Stars are no longer the peacekeepers. Tekkadan is now joining McGillis' forces. Maribit resigns from Teiwaz so she could be close to her man. Mika says that the Gundam makes him feel like he truly has a tail. Vidar wants to head to Earth to settle things with McGillis. Meanwhile, Rustall gathers the entire Iron-Rod fleet. We get a flashback of McGillis, who was trafficked, diddled, and taken advantage of. He eventually became the heir of the Fairreed family, but was still diddled and taken advantage of. One night he came across a book, The Life of Agnika Kaidu, leader of Galahorn. Mika is watching guard for Chocolate Man. Rustall is awaiting the fleet to form. Iak isn't allowed to be a part of this operation. Liza Inza is one of McGillis' men, and he is a huge Tekkadan fanboy. They will be up against 40 half-beat-class ships. McGillis looks up at Bael. The ASW G01 Gundam Bael is the first Gundam frame and was originally piloted by Agnika Kaidu during the Calamity War. Since this is the first Gundam frame, the unit is relatively simple. Its main weapons are the two Bael swords, which were the only weapons used by Agnika. Agnika died in the Gundam, and it is said that his soul remains inside. Galahorn memorializes this Gundam at its headquarters. It has a pre-7 Stars Galahorn logo on its shoulder. Other weapons include 2 electromagnetic cannons and an anti-ship lance mace. This also has the Alea Vignana system. This Gundam is in a shrine as a symbol to Agnika and the end of the Calamity War. Gundam Vidar comes bursting into the shrine. He takes off his mask to reveal that he is Galio. Yeah, no shit. Galio says that McGillis could never open up, until one day he started talking about the hypocrisy of Galahorn. He wants to fight McGillis in Gundam Bael, but Mika shows up to protect him. Galio activates the Alea Vignana system Type E. This uses Ein's brain as a middleman, so Galio doesn't need the AVS surgery. Ein takes control of the mobile suit, and Galio is just a vessel. Gundam Vidar can hold its own against Barbie. McGillis gets into Gundam Bael and attaches the AVS. He goes shirts off just like the boys. Upon seeing Gundam Bael, Galio retreats. McGillis tells the world that he has resurrected Agnika. His message is cut off by Galio. He lets the world know that he is still alive. Rustall informs everyone that he kept Galio hidden from the world because McGillis is responsible for the death of Carta Issue. McGillis is prepping Mika to head back into space. He asks how an adult can get the AVS. He tells him about Ein and how he was a test subject for this very moment. The Alea Vignana system was lost to time, apparently, and Galahorn didn't realize that the surgery was necessary to activate his Gundam. That's a stretch considering human debris still has the surgery. Humans are gossipy bitches. It'll get around. However, the legend is Agnika's soul must choose you in order to pilot it. That is the propaganda he is going with when telling the 7 Stars. He demands that they hand over Galahorn's ground forces to him. The 7-Star Grandpas refuse to help, but also refuse to fight against the will of Agnika, so they will remain neutral in all of this. Without the help of the 7 Stars family, he and Tekkadan will have to take on the Iron-Rod fleet themselves. McGillis brings Tekkadan some supplies. The only thing Maribit and Dexter can do for the children is stay by their side as they fight. You remember Dexter, the accountant from the beginning of the series? Another moment for Dexter. Juliet tells Galio that he has a handsome face. These two still haven't kissed. Orga punches McGillis for not thinking this plan through. These aren't soldiers, these are my family. Atra wants to put a baby in Mika. Nope, other way. Cudelia is starting to realize that creating a world where people like Mika don't have to fight is a contradiction. They are who they are because of their harsh upbringing. Do you spoil the next generation or do you allow them to preserve through hardship? Every parent has to ask this when raising a child. Mika tells Atra his dick only works when he is connected to the Gundam. The Iron-Rod fleet has gathered and is ready to attack. The fight begins. Shino, Chad, and Dante drift too far from the ship. The skipjacks are focused more on McGillis' revolutionary fleet. This was originally the HQ Central Direction Defense Corps. Isurugi heads out in the Rhine car. The Iron-Rod fleet is trying to win this by outnumbering them. Juliet's team is focused on Tekkadan. Orga motivates the boys by saying if they live through this, they're going to get all the bitches and the money. Mika finally joins the battle. Giulietta's team moves around the mobile suits and tries to flank the Isaribi. Barbatos stops them from moving in. In a flashback, Rustle tells Giulietta to take on Barbatos. Giulietta tries to penetrate the Gundam's armor. She is fast, but not strong enough. The Isaribi gets a direct hit. A Revolutionary Fleet mobile suit is using an unauthorized dying slave and attacks the Iron-Rod fleet. It seems Russell infiltrated one of McGillis' teams. He attacked his own fleet to have an excuse to use the dying slaves himself. They too fire the dying slaves and take out a good chunk of the Revolutionary fleet. Iak doesn't like Russell's methods. Everyone evades as fast as possible. Shino pushes Ride out of the way and he gets hit. So too does the Hotarubi take massive damage. The Hotarubi lost weapons control. Shino is alive, but his arm is broke. He tells Yamagi that they need to whip out the Super Galaxy Cannon, which is essentially a Dane sleeve. Shino asks out Yamagi. These aren't the two that I want to kiss. McGillis launches in Gundam Barbatos and motivates the men for their second wind. Galio fights him and his Kamari's Vidar. The ASW G-66 Gundam Kamari's Vidar removed the third Ahab reactor, which was only there to hide the mobile suit's identity. Now that Galio made his appearance public, he returned to the Kamari's design. The AVS is still retained. This is the opposite of the Gundam Kamari's Trooper and designed for 0G. However, it still focuses on hit-and-run attacks. The Drill Lance is not only a blunt instrument, but it has two Dainsleif launchers, a drill, and 200mm cannons. Other weapons include a drill knee, a sword, and a shield. Isurugi distracts Galio while McGillis rallies the troops. The Dainsleif team fires again. Tekkadan moves in on the fleet. Eugene pilots the Hotarubi while towing the Isaribi. They're going to swing Shino around so they could fire the Galaxy Cannon. Shino tells Yamagi that he isn't going to die. Well, don't say that. You were in this very gay moment. McGillis returns to back up Isurugi. Mika prevents Giulietta from helping the fleet. Eugene swings the Hotarubi to use as his shield while they push forward. On the Hotarubi is Shino. He aims the Galaxy Cannon and fires. He misses Rustle's ship. Shino rushes the fleet, but he is just one mobile suit and is taken out. Mika is distracted by Giulietta. Orga wants to go save Shino, but Eugene tells him the reality of the situation. They don't have time. They have to back it up. Back it up. Let's elaborate on the Regenlays Julia's sword, which is called the Julian sword. There's a sword in each forearm. The swords can switch between sword mode and whip mode. They are made of the same rare metals as the Valkyria blade. While whipping at Mika's mace, Giulietta finds a weakness. Mika grabs onto her leg with his tail and smashes her left arm. Giulietta says she will be there for Rustle. She says it a few times. Luckily, Mika pierces through Giulietta's cockpit before she babbles on about Rustle once again. Mika wipes Giulietta off his mace, like she didn't even matter to him. Savage. The Hotarubi self-destructs, releasing nano-mirror chaff, messing with Galahorn's LCS. Isurugi moves in to help Tekkadan, while McGillis fights against Galio. He laughs at Galio for essentially lowering his values to achieve power, no different than McGillis. Isurugi comes in to save McGillis. Galio Siroko's Isurugi. He will hold off the Kamaris while McGillis regroups with Tekkadan. Galio rips Isurugi in half. He believes that Isurugi died in vain from McGillis' delusions. Galio is able to recover what remains of Giulietta by sheer luck. Tekkadan is taking one of the Turbine's back routes back to Mars and getting the hell out of there ASAP. Zach Lowe tells everyone in the hangar, "Hey man, why don't we just quit?" Unlike him, most of Tekkadan has nowhere else to go. They aren't done fighting either. Derma lost an arm while fighting, but Akihiro cheers him up and reminds him why he gave him the Atlan name. Galahorn is still chasing as they head back to Mars, but being on home turf will make it harder for Galahorn to resupply. Hush says something is different about Atra. Yeah man, she's got Mika's seed up all in her. Giulietta is alive in a medical pod. She wants more power to defeat the Gundam. Yamagi is a sad boy. Eugene tells him that Shino knew Yamagi liked him. Although they were family, he wasn't against it. A Ray Proto of the Galahorn Mars branch informs McGillis that he has been stripped of his rank and status. Galahorn is allying itself with Rustle even though he wields Gundam Barbatos. R.A. Proto is indebted to McGillis. He is the head of Mars branch due to the incident with Coral in Season 1, so he is just going to look the other way. A lot of people turning a blind eye in this series. They have made it back to Mars, but Tekkadan's mobile suits were wrecked. They have no extra parts to fix them either. Orga says now that McGillis has absolutely no leverage, he is taking orders from Tekkadan now. Orga wonders who the real enemy truly is, as most of their enemies are just a matter of circumstance. Eugene wonders if they should just throw McGillis under the bus to protect their necks. But Orga won't go against a partnership. However, maybe if he is fighting for nothing, they could break ties. On the news, Tekkadan has been labeled as working under McGillis. So much for throwing him under the bus. They are now criminals. Iok wants to participate in the next battle. Atra wanted to tell Cudelia that Mika's baby juices are inside her, but decides not to. Now that they are labeled criminals, they can't find anyone willing to lend them money for the upcoming battle. All of their accounts have been frozen. Nobilis has cut off ties from the Admos Company for working with Tekkadan. He tells Cudelia that if she cuts ties, Nobilis will work with them again. Orga says that she should probably cut ties to save Admos. He gathers the family and tells everyone that if they want to quit, now is the time. Zack says, "Yeah man, I quit. What about family?" Zack tells Dane to come with him. Dane has been around this entire season, but now it's Dane's moment to shine. He mentions to Zack that he murdered people before joining Tekkadan. Tekkadan accepted who he was. For him and most of the family, they are indebted to Orga. Nadi tells Maribet to leave, but she refuses. Orga calls McMurdo and asks if he could get into contact with Rustle. Mika asks Cudelia to watch over his and Atra's baby that he just put in her. Mika made a promise to Orga all those years ago, and he thinks that promise is what is keeping him alive, so he might as well make all the promises. Atra comes in and tells Mika to put a baby in her too. Mika says, "You want a baby? I can make this happen." They all think, "We are really kicking ass at making this harem work." Orga tells Rustle that he is willing to give up McGillis, but Rustle says, "Nah, not good enough. We are going to kill you and set an example. Deal with it." Cudelia suggests that they just disappear and become someone else. It won't be possible on Mars, but on Earth, Arbrow can give them new identities. Dexter tells them that he was able to recover some funds from an offshore account. They lose their internet. Suddenly, Galahorn has them surrounded. They are already here. Zack and some of the others are still at the base. Looks like they are part of this battle now. Galahorn tells the world of their mop-up operation of Tekkadan. Tekkadan is going to blow up the place and hope they think that they all died in the explosion. Nadi tells them of the service tunnels that go directly to Kreese. Kreise? Eugene says, "You know what, boys? I think this is actually going to work." McGillis is mad that Tekkadan is choosing to run, but them feigning their death will allow Rustle to move in closer. This will give him an opportunity to move in and kill Rustle himself. Atra and Cudelia are going to flee to the Admos Company while Orga accompanies them and makes a phone call to Makanai. Mika's harem says their goodbyes. Gundam Barbatos distracts Iok. He takes the bait. He is able to take down Iok, but mobile suits swarm around him. Orga is able to make it out. They make it to Admos and call Makanai. Takaki is working with him. They will help Tekkadan, but they have to make it to Earth first. Agi contacts Cudelia since they can't contact Tekkadan. She learned of the situation and is willing to smuggle them off-planet. Atra will hide out with Cudelia for now. Orga and the boys head back to Tekkadan when a car pulls up and shoots Chad in the shoulder. Orga protects Ride Mass from getting shot, taking a bunch of bullets to the back. Orga shoots one as they flee. Orga dies protecting a member of his family. It was Nobilis who sent the assassins to kill Orga. He is also the one who helped manipulate the media. Tekkadan is digging through the other side of the tunnel. They're finally able to get access to the internet. They learn that Orga was assassinated. Hush is the one to tell Mika. Mika gathers everyone for a meeting. He riles up Tekkadan and tells the people they will still follow Orga's footsteps, even though he is gone. Julieta has recovered from her injuries. But more importantly, she has grown to understand that her heroes are shady as hell. Derma wants to fight, but Akihito wants him to flee. One of the human debris has to live on to have a normal life. During the Hashmal arc, Orga was tempted to go out in his own mobile suit. This happened to be his own personal Shiden. The STH-16TC2, Orga's Shiden, was a gift from McMurdo for Tekkadan purchasing a large number of Shidens. It is no different than a typical Shiden, with the exception of the antenna and visor along with the white nanolaminate armor. Shino referred to it as the King's Throne. Weapons include a 130mm assault rifle, the Partisan Blade, a riot shield, and a shoulder shield. Eugene plans on using this mobile suit. The mobile workers surrounding Tekkadan begin their assault. The NK-17 Galahorn Mobile Worker is Galahorn's version of the mobile worker, used for patrol and security operations. It is bigger than all mobile workers we have seen thus far, and these can use high-caliber weapons. Because this uses a hydrogen engine, it can function in cities, which devices with Ahab reactors are supposed to stay away from. Weapons include a large-caliber cannon, an anti-personnel chain gun, and missile pods attached to the side. It also has a block system which allows the pilot to eject. Tekkadan mobile suits attack. They try to buy some time so the others can make it through the underground tunnel. In space, McGillis tells his team that they are no longer needed. He's got this, no worries. It was that sneaky asshole, Toto, that got him back into space. He says, "Okay, this is my last appearance, peace." McGillis crashes his half-beak into an Aryan Rod half-beak. Out of the explosion comes Gundam Barbatos. Gallus Bodine tries to bring Almeria back to the Bodine estate. Almeria says she is staying by her man. It's too late, the cycle of whatever up shit this is complete. Two Grazes rush Hush in the Hekija. He takes out one, but is too slow to take out a second. The Graze goes down, but was able to get a hit on the Hekija's cockpit, gravely injuring Hush. Mika asks how he's doing. Hush always thinks that Mika is the coolest, so he plays his death off as nothing and tells Mika he will defend this area. Mika says, "Cool, peace, I'm out of here." Mika is a little autistic and took a dying man's words too literally, while Hush tried to be cool down to his last breath. If you think about it, it's kind of crazy that Akihito, the big dumb guy, is the best at communicating his feelings out of the boys. Galio and McGillis fight. Rustle doesn't send out more mobile suits as he wants to see how this plays out. Vidarlio tells him that he ultimately seeks power with no real end goal. With the help of Ein, Galio is able to stab McGillis. They crash land into a hangar McGillis bails. He tries to make it to the bridge to kill Rustle, but Galio is one step ahead of him. The two shoot one another. McGillis is shot. Galio is protected by his Vidar mask. McGillis says that he always acknowledged Galio and Carta, but tried to stay distant because he knew this day would eventually come. McGillis dies while Galio yells at him, while also realizing he kinda forgives him, but he also doesn't want to in the name of Ein and Carta. Rustle sends Julieta down to Mars to finish this. The boys have made it through the tunnel. Mika tells Eugene to fall back and go be a leader while he handles business. Akihito says the same thing to Dante. It's just Full City and Lupus Rex. As they take down Grazes, some fall back. In low Earth orbit is a Dainsleif team. They fire their weapons of mass destruction down on the boys. They're badly injured, but they could still fight. Barbatos becomes beast-like. It takes out more Grazes, but he gets a few battle axes to the chest. The AVS is in full control of the Gundam at this point. Meanwhile, Iak rushes in and fights against Akihito. The Full City crushes Iak, but two comrades stab Akihito, stopping him in his tracks. Iak was crushed. This dude's whole arc was people trying to prevent him from fighting, and then he fought and died. What did we learn here? Julieta fights Mika, who is barely hanging in there. He says that he has no purpose. Julieta doesn't understand why one would fight with no purpose. She takes down Barbatos. Mika's last thought is him being worried about getting his harem bracelet dirty. This later became known as the McGillis Ferried Incident. Galahorn, who started allowing power to slip away from them, swiftly regained it amongst the Earth sphere. However, the Seven Stars were dissolved and chose a more democratically elected approach. Rustle Elian became the first leader. The economic blocks left Mars sphere, allowing them to govern themselves. Cudelia became the new Mars Union chairperson. More names were added to the Tekkadan Memorial. Cudelia and Elian worked together to abolish human debris. They signed this new law in Arbrow, home of the former Makanai, who eventually passed away. Eugene is now Cudelia's bodyguard. The AVS has left Galio in a wheelchair. Mika really could have used one of those. For Julieta, she is still coming to terms with the fact that Tekkadan fought, not for politics or power, but merely as a means of living. Fighting was the only way they could express themselves. Takaki is still working on Earth with the new Arbrow Prime Minister. He may one day become Prime Minister himself. Chad is working for Admos while Dante works in an orphanage. Nobilis goes to take a shit when he is assassinated by Ride Mass. He figured out that Nobilis was responsible for Orga's death. Maribet and Nadi started a family. Yamagi is still working as a mechanic. Cudelia visits Atra and her son, Akatsuki. Cudelia loves this world that Tekkadan built for them. And that will conclude Mobile Suit Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans. This was a great story of a cautionary tale about going out on your own terms. Although the media will use propaganda to throw Tekkadan under the bus, none of the Tekkadan members died in vain. The only Galahorn member that seems to see through all of this is Julieta. Circling back to Gundam, Galio and McGillis mirror Char and Garma. But what if Char's intelligence doesn't match his ego? And what if Garma survived Char's trap and seeked revenge? You simply get a hero with a god complex. It shows that without putting your money where your mouth is, Char would just be a delusional narcissist. Also, statistically, the majority of people who are sexually assaulted tend to sexually assault themselves. There are some freaks out there that think that McGillis is protecting Almeria because he was abused in the past. No, 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 no. Now that we have finished IBO, we will probably return to the 90s and begin our coverage of Afterwar Gundam X. But that will do it for now, human debris. Remember to always go out on your own terms. Peace.